It's making me realize everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I. Everything we've been through makes us strong enough. You and I.
Ooh. Hello, welcome to the RFDL Season 1. We are in the middle of our Swiss Round 2. I'm Ecliptic Fades, and I'm here with Docky to start us off on the show today. Docky, how are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. We got the second half of our Swiss Round 2 today. We're going to be starting off here shortly with Big Black Bunny Gaming versus Lumimosity. But before we get to that, we're just going to talk a little bit about yesterday, talk about some of the games that went on while these teams prepare to get into the match. If you guys need a refresher on what is going on here, this is the Rocket First Draft League. We played 11 weeks of league play. We did a mid-season tournament, and now we're going into a Swiss to find the top 6 teams to go into our playoffs. If you can see, hopefully, right here on the Swiss bracket that we have showing up on your screen right now. We are in the middle of round 2. We've done 3 of our games. We have 3 more to go. Technically, we did 2 of our games because our Persian 1 team has dropped out of the league entirely because they would not be able to make playoffs. But besides that, we got some exciting games for you today. Black Bunny Gaming versus Lumimosity going to be first, followed by Dignipods versus Awata Gaming, and finishing off the day with Big Dragon Squad versus Protogen Rebellion. Gonna be some exciting ones today, Docky. How are you feeling before your match coming up second today?
Pretty excited. I feel like it's been a minute since I've did an actual threes match in the league coming out of the mid-season tournament. So I am pretty excited to get some good old threes back in with the boys.
Yeah, as you guys might have remembered last week, Big Dragon Squad had to bow out early in that round 1 and forfeit their match. So, Ducky, you haven't gotten to play threes in a good minute with your team and showcasing the new team with Bunky, I believe, as well. So that's going to be a bit of a change for the roster. I'm excited to see what goes on for that. I am quite excited to see all of these games. I think we're going to have some really good ones coming up today. If you had to pick one besides your own that you're excited to see, which one do you think that would be?
I mean, this first one's got to be really good. I think both teams, the Luminosity and Black-Bunny, very, very talented. And I've been warming up a little bit with the Luminosity guys, and they've been playing really well. So I think they're going to be in form today. I am very excited to see how it goes, though.
Yeah, I am too. I'm currently waiting for all of these teams to be ready to get invited over to the lobby. So there's not much to talk about for the games today just yet. Let's talk a little bit about yesterday. We did see Cloud9 end up taking a 3-0 victory against Twisted Tales. I wouldn't necessarily say expected result there because Twisted Tales has been showing up lately, despite being the bottom team in the league right now. And Cloud9 has not necessarily had favorable results during live matches, but I think the team really showed up yesterday.
Yeah, Voltec, man. Absolutely
Voltec.
popped off there in that third game.
I had to agree.
What's that?
I had to agree there. He did pop off.
Also, Esper. What can I say? Never wrong about the Esper.
Do you think that we're going to get any wacky cars in any of the matches today, or do you think it's going to be all standard from this point on?
I don't know. We got some sweaty teams that are playing today, so I imagine we'll at the very least see more normal cars than yesterday. I don't know. We might see some Esper today. Who knows?
Interesting. Well, I still haven't heard back from anybody. I hope that they realize their game is going to be starting here soon. But let's talk about the other game yesterday, which was actually the most exciting one. X3 Tactics versus FoxClan. Going all the way to the game number 5, where FoxClan narrowly takes it in OT.
Yeah, that was actually ridiculous. That series was insane to watch from the sidelines, and yeah, I mean that's exactly what we want. Those close games, so many overtimes. Literally anyone at any point could have taken that series, but it went down to the very final wire, and it was glorious.
Yeah, if you guys missed that, make sure to check out the VODs from yesterday and go and watch that series. It was absolutely incredible. All 1-goal games, very close throughout the entire match. Definitely a showcase of the high caliber that this league does have to offer every week. So I'm happy to see that our top teams are performing very close to each other. And even that being said, some of our bottom teams still also trying to force their way into the top, as we'll see today with a couple of these teams as well. Any notable players that you're going to want to look out for today, Docky?
That's hard. That's a hard one. I think it's kind of a cop out to say everybody, right? I feel.
Right.
So, me? I'm just kidding. No, I'm curious to see. Aerolax has been grinding threes again recently, so he's actually hit GC2 in threes, which is a difficult task. So I wonder if that threes mentality is going to actually come to show today.
Yeah, I have to say, obviously, you gotta look out for Hammer as soon as he's on the game, because as far as I know, he's not yet, which is interesting with his game being so close at hand. I mean, you gotta watch him if he's playing on point. You gotta expect Lumimosity's gonna have a hard time in this first match. Obviously, when it comes to your team, I want to see how Bunky is gonna perform. Along with that, sure. I gotta see if Sylvie on Dignipod is gonna be trolling since they're playing you. I've heard that there's a possibility of that, so you never know. And then, obviously, our last match, you gotta see if Protogen Rebellion, the fan favorites, can take this big dragon squad down. It would be very unreal to see one of our top 3 teams in Big Dragon Squad be down in the O2 category. But if any team could do it, I think the upset potential of Protogen Rebellion definitely has what it takes, especially with the static versus reverb matchup.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy to think about that. That is a possibility. And it's a very real possibility too, right? A team that had an unfortunate forfeit in that first round, kind of almost possibly having a large downwind effect in their Swiss and playoff potential. So they're going to really, really need to hope and grind for that one. And yeah, it'll be interesting. If any team can take them down, I mean, we've seen it before. Protogen with static absolutely can. And so that will be a very interesting one to see.
Yeah, well, good news, guys. We do have our first 2 teams getting into the lobby now. So let's go ahead and start talking about this first match of the day. It's going to be Black Bunny Gaming versus Lumimosity, our number 2 seed versus our number 10 seed to start the day. This is going to be a very interesting one. Now, I will say, I don't think Lumimosity had the hardest round 1 to play last week, so I'm really hoping that they got their grind in, because this is definitely a much harder matchup than they had last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the case. I will actually, okay, I say that's absolutely the case. I don't know if I would necessarily say that it's so much harder that it's going to feel like an entirely different game. I mean, obviously they had, they played really, really well, I think, last week. So I think that if they can continue to play as well as they can beat just about anybody if they're on form. So if they're able to do that again, and it seems like they're playing well today, then I think they have a pretty good chance here.
Yeah, I have to agree, but let's go ahead and talk about the teams, and we'll talk about the... I don't know if I would say clear favorites going into this, but based on seeding, they would be the clear favorites. That is going to be Black Bunny Gaming, and we talk about this all the time. Look in the middle, look at Hammer. His role is team carry. He's first place in all the accolades except demos, and who else is going to be top in demos besides Vezix? 3.2 demos per game. And then you've got Kiki over there, and ever since they added Kiki, they've had the winning combination, really good shooting capable players, and then whenever Vezix pops off, he puts in some really nice goals as well. Kiki always holds down the midfield and always cleans up whenever needed, and then Hammer, if he's on point, if he's actually playing the game, he has his monitor on, it's already wraps. Like, what do you do against that team?
Try your darndest. Yeah, it really does come down to just being able to shut down Hammer, which is I think a difficult task for just about anybody. So yeah, it's like we've said before, the team carry for a reason. Absolutely has the ability to take over those games. We've seen it before, and yeah, that's definitely something to look out for here in this series.
Yeah, I will agree with that. But of course, Black Bunny Gaming, not the only team here. We've got a good contender in this 1-0 round. That's going to be Lumimosity, featuring one of our casters here, Arilax. You'll be seeing him on the desk a little bit later, along with Avid and Levi. And Docky, we always talk about the Arilax and Avid combo has been popping off all season, and Levi doing so well to play that midfield role for them. This team is not going to be an easy team for Black Bunny to beat.
Yeah, you got multiple offensive threats, kind of difficult. Have more of a triangulated approach to the game, which I think helps them out tremendously. And just kind of being unpredictable. You really not know who's going to go for that shot. Arilax has such a really good ball control, especially in the air. So you know you need to challenge early, but then you have other threats to think about. So kind of similar to the Hammer situation, obviously to a lesser extent. No offense to Arilax. But that is something to look out for. Of course, I think that surrounding cast being just a tad bit stronger allows for them to be more flexible rotationally. So that that's going to cause them to have a different approach. We've seen that before. I know we've seen this matchup before. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they play it. like I said, I have been seeing them play recently, and they have been playing very well. So I am excited to see if they continue that momentum into this one.
Yeah, I agree. They have been playing well. On the other hand, though, we also know that Black Money always playing well and increasing in skill level as every day goes on. Quick mention, Vezix, who started off the season as a C1 while signing up, was a diamond, I believe, then moved up to C1 before the draft started, already has moved up to C3. So he's been grinding the ranks, and he is now, quote unquote, a certified threes main. So we're gonna have to see how his playstyle continues to evolve throughout the league and throughout the rest of Swiss. See if he puts up some more numbers for his team, as he has done previously as well. But Docky, getting into this match, I think it's time for the predictions. So what is your prediction for this match?
Oh man, this is gonna be tough. I think it'll be genuinely a really, really tough one. My base, the base assumption, the on paper is to go with the favorites here, but I have a feeling that Lumosity can pull this one off. I do think it goes to 5, but I do think that Lumosity wins it.
I think it goes to Lumosity in 5. That's a really nice one. I, however, am going to disagree on this. As much as I want to rep Arilax and Avid, we are, I mean, what can I say? Black Money Gaming is the number 2 seed for a reason. They've been on a tear. They won the mid-season tournament. And, I mean, with all these players increasing in skill, I just expect Hammer to pop off. I heard he got a food buff recently. He just had dinner, so you never know how he's going to play. I'm giving it to Black Money in 5. I want to see a great match, but I do think Black Money is going to take it, as they usually do in that game 5. But I think we're just going to let the players play and see how this is going to go. It's time for our first match of the day, guys. It's going to be Black Money Gaming versus Lumosity. Both of these guys fighting for one of those 2-0 spots. Who's going to be able to take it? Let's get on down to the pitch and see for ourselves what this series has in store for us, as everybody is ready. We are getting into the game, and why can't we see the game? There we go. Took a minute to pop up, but we are live here with game number 1. And immediately Hammer going for the flip reset off kickoff. If he's already pulling off those sort of mechanics, Docky, I'm scared to see what this series has in store.
Yeah, that's really going to all be about kind of shutting that down, trying to get momentum of your own. Of course, this team is possible of doing that. I think it might be a good start there to be shutting that down. It is still 0-0, but you do not want to be allowing them to have more of those opportunities. I've seen a couple opportunities for Luminosity, but they haven't really had too much control here early on. Of course, as I say that, Airlex gets a nice one around, but Hammer is just there to shut it down immediately. We'll see, though, if they are able to do so. I am really curious, though. We talk about different approaches, Fade, and kind of starting to see a little bit of that already, as Hammer has kind of been all over the place already for Black Bunny, and that's how they play the game. And Lumosity taking that different approach, that rotational, allowing other players to cut in. I'm curious to see who exactly that gives the advantage to. That can really backfire if you're not too careful.
Yeah, and I had to make a close eye to watch Levi today, as they have been instrumental in their team getting some of those crucial goals early on in some of these games, but at the same time, any sort of misplay coming out from them might end up messing up some of the rotations from Lumosity. A very good cut coming out this time. Unfortunately, only going to Vezix, as it's going to bounce off this mid-wall. It stays very midfield, going close to the Black Money Gaming corner. Kiki going to be able to take this one out, pass downfield, but Vezix not able to get there in time. You see Hammer playing a little bit farther back right now, not wanting that first goal to be going into the back of their own net. Very good choice from Black Money Gaming to leave their SSL back in defense, since he's going to be the most capable of saving a lot of these shots coming out from Avid and Arilax. And when you're never sure which one of them is going to take the shot, that is a skill that is going to be necessary. That quick reaction time is going to be instrumental to Black Money taking this first game. However, Lumamasi looking pretty good, finding some chances themselves.
Yeah, and it's kind of curious. Me and Airlox talked about this yesterday, and kind of early on in these at the very beginning of these series, both teams tend to play a little bit safer, not wanting to let that first goal go in, because that tends to set the pace of this first game, which kind of has that domino effect, which sets the tone for the entire series. Of course, that isn't necessarily how it always works out, but I think just mentally, that's where a lot of players feel about these series. So you see a little bit more of that laid back, not trying to play too risky, not trying to get too much ahead of yourself, not do too much. But as soon as that first goal kind of goes in, both teams seemingly start to just let that wash over them. And then we start seeing more of the scoring. So these first games tend to be a lot more low scoring. That one might go in. It's not going to. And no one really wanting to make that extra push, although that's a little bit of a mistouch. Avid's in a really uncomfortable position, but does get a fantastic save off the inside of the goalpost there. And well, we still have 0-0 here. We're just under 2 minutes. I'm really curious to see who's really going to be the first one to break this one open.
And definitely, when it comes to Black Money Gaming, I'm going to start taking a look at Vezix here on those rotations. You know how valuable his demos can be. As you saw earlier, Avid almost getting scored on as Vezix went for that demo. Missed it, luckily for Lumamosity, but you definitely have to be careful as Black Money pushes, and that's going to be a bit of a miss. That might go into the back of the net. Vezix can't get the angle, though, and it's going to leave a counterattack opportunity for Lumamosity with less than a minute remaining as of now. Still tied up. We're looking for one of these defenses to crack, but this has been a very close game going forward. I have seen more direct opportunities for Black Money Gaming, though, and I would give them the advantage in this last minute.
I have to agree with that. It's been a little bit more awkward here for Lumamosity. It seems like they're not really able to find that footing. Some really nice saves and some nice possession, but they're not really able to do too much with it before they are immediately cut off. A little bit of that coming from some mistouches or some mispositioning. Well, that might still work in their favor, as this is an awkward ball for the side of Black Bunny, but again, though, no one really there to take that initial shot. So we see Levi try to go off the sidewall, but doesn't get that touch. Avid's shot's off to the left. Unfortunately for him, though, Hammer is directly there for it. And though you really want to be the one to score this one first, this might be an opportunity. Airlex doesn't have enough boost, though, to do anything with it. And now this is going back the other way with Hammer. That's not really what you want to see here, as Hammer gets past one and does not get it on time. We have overtime game one.
Very interesting coming out there from Hammer. Might have had the opportunity if just another second was on the clock, but Vezix doesn't need that extra second. He puts it in off the kickoff, and Black Money Gaming is going to win your game number one.
Yeah, it seems like that awkwardness having a little bit of a residual effect here in overtime, not really able to find the pace there. Airlex jumps a little bit too early, and I don't think Ovid was expecting that one to land where it did, unfortunately for them, but I think well played from them. They can't be too upset. They only let in the one goal. Now, the one goal did lead them to the game loss, but I don't think they can be too upset. They played very well. That was a very close first game.
Yeah, you gotta be happy with that sort of performance, no matter what team you're on. I think that was a very good game. Just unfortunate for Lumamosity that kickoff doesn't go their way. But they'll make some adjustments for game number two, and I'm sure they'll come back just as strong. And we'll have to see how they can adapt being a game down. Once again, as everybody knows, these are best of fives, so taking that game one doesn't mean that you're out just yet, but if you take that game two loss, you're in a very tough position against this Black Money Gaming squad. I don't remember if Black Money Gaming has ever been reverse swept, but I don't think that's happened.
I mean, no matter who you're up against, right? That's not the position you want to find yourself in, where you kind of have to win every single game, can't make a single mistake, and yeah, that's definitely a position where you do not want to find yourself in. So it's kind of feeling like that must win, like you were saying, and you know, I think that with how close that initial game one was, I don't think that that's too, or at least if you're Lumamosity, that shouldn't feel too impossible. You absolutely know. You know, there was a little bit of those awkward moments. They probably know that. And I think if they're able to tighten that up, they have a very good chance here in this next one.
Well, as we get game two underway, we're going to see just what these guys can do. Now, Avid immediately with the kickoff, but it's going to be dunked completely by Hammer. Levi, the last one in the back with any boost to speak of, and this is that Black Money aggression that we've seen so much during that first game, immediately coming out to start game 2. A good demo on Hammer, though. Going to relieve some pressure on the play. Kiki has to try and get that down to Vezix. No real valid shot on net. But Hammer going to be able to clear that one long. Straight to Levi. Vezix trying to look for the dunk. Can't find it, but it's up high in the air. Who will be the first to it? It's going to be Aerolax. Hammer having to put that off to the side. And you're going to have to find a way for Lumimosity to get out of their own half first to make an aggressive attack. As they try to find one there, but no boost on Aerolax, and we will continue on. No goal scored in that first minute. However, Avid with the first goal of the game, and that's the type of creativity that Lumimosity is known so well for.
Yeah, that's gotta feel good if you're Avid there. You've had a few awkward moments already in this first or the second game here, knowing that there was some of that happening in the first game that might have led to the loss. But being able to score that one has to feel like kind of a weight off your shoulders. And now you know, okay, I can still do this. Just don't let it get too much ahead of you. You weren't able to score at all last game, so getting the first one here to take that goal lead has to feel pretty good here on side of Lumimosity. And hopefully that opens the floodgates for them, allows them to play a little bit more confidently. We know that they can play confidently. Just haven't really seen that so far in this series. If they're able to turn that on, I feel like they have a really, really good chance here. But of course, got to start here. They definitely have to win this game too, and that's a difficult position to be in, but Avid actually played that very smart. He was able to get that one out of a dangerous position. Let's see though, I'm starting to see, I think that first goal, like I was saying, kind of opened a little bit more confidence here for the side of Lumimosity. They haven't really had too many scary positions. They're playing this a lot tighter. Of course, as I say that, there's a scary position, but Aerolax does a very good job of kicking that one all the way to the side there. Of course though, you're up against Hammer, and Hammer is able to turn most possessions into a dangerous one, as that one floats uncomfortably across the Lumimosity goal there. Again, not really too many opportunities other than that from Black Bunny game, and Lumimosity's done such a good job of controlling the pace here as that one almost goes in, but Hammer will be there for the save.
And this is the kind of confusion that Lumimosity want to create. They want to make sure that Black Bunny gets into some very awkward situations involving their front two members, as Hammer trying to wait back for a good touch. And for Hammer specifically, that first shot that it was on net, usually he would be slotting that. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of an underperformance for him to start this series off, which is kind of exactly what you'd want to see if you want this to go to a game 5. Now Aerolax trying to find a teammate off the backboard, not able to do so, and Kiki trying to clear that out. A really good touch from Avid to keep that in the Black Bunny Gaming side. Now Hammer getting it midfield again. Kiki with the extra touch. Excellent bump from Black Bunny Gaming, but no one really there to commit on a valid shot. Hammer over one. It's going to be Avid in the back. Kiki with the shot, and it barely goes in. Vezix was looking for the bump in the goal line, and it turns out it stalled just enough time for Black Bunny to get this goal.
Oh, that's got to be so frustrating. You're so close to saving that one after dodging the bump in the net, and you had to think, how was all three of Black Bunny fully committed to that goal? You had the pass from Hammer, the bump from Vezix, and the shot from Kiki. So you had to think, if you were able to get that just touch barely out, it could have gone into a counterattack, but it's not quite able to get to it in time. And now you got Hammer to deal with. Maybe a little bit of an assist there. A little bit of a team bump here, maybe. As I think Vezix might have bumped him a little bit into it. Kind of. But that's exactly what you don't want to see. For Lumimosity, that's a goal lead right back to Black Bunny. They had the goal early on, but it's completely swung in the opposite direction here in the last few minutes. So, minute 44 now. They're going to have to try to change this one around here if they want to have a chance in this game.
And that's exactly what makes Black Bunny Gaming so scary. Just their ability to take a goal deficit and turn it into a goal lead with barely any time off the clock. Meanwhile, their defense, second to none. When you have Hammer in the back line, and you're definitely going to be scared when it's going towards your net like that. Hammer with his second goal of this series, and Black Bunny up by 2 now.
That's so unfortunate. Just a little bit too far out of the play for Levi to get back to that one in time, and those are the ones that I think might have that little bit of tilt factor. Those long rolling balls that feel like they should have been saved, but just not really anyone in the position to do so. A very good shot. I mean, that's fantastic placement from Hammer. Gets it around Aerolax as well to make sure that that one goes the whole way. But This one's gonna be a little bit of a tilter here.
Oh.
Oh, it's another miss, unfortunately, from Airlex. I say another one from Airlex, just from the side of Lumosity. That one goes off with the crossbar. They're playing so well, they're just getting a little bit unlucky on some of these plays here. We have quite a bit of time, though. A minute is more than enough time to come back here. They have an opportunity here. That's a really good flick from Avid, and there's the start for the comeback.
And that's just really good positioning from Avid. Barely any boost, but notices that Hammer is coming up a little bit too far towards the center of the net. Flicks that perfectly over their head, and that's going to be 1 goal back on the side of blue. However, getting the other one, that's going to be the tough part, is usually Black Money Gaming so hard to defend, to attack against even. As Kiki gets a really good dunk in the midfield. Kiki also getting that demo, leaving Airlax in a really tough spot. Airlax trying to move it forward. Avid now with a chance off this back wall, but it's going to bounce awkwardly. The pass over to Airlax, it's going wide, but still the chance for Lumosity is in the wings, but 20 seconds left before this game is over. They're going to have to strike now.
Man, that one felt like it should have been a goal. There were so many opportunities, just slightly off the mark every time, and that is so unlucky. Sometimes it kind of happens like that. You get that first initial miss, and then kind of spawns a chain of unfortunate touches. This one might be an opportunity. The Hammer comes off the backboard to save it. They have one more chance. Airlock pops it high, but no boost to get to it. Levi's going to need to get a touch up, but it's not very strong, and a double commit from the side of Lumosity might spell disaster for them. It is still up. It does not hit the corner, though, and it does go down. Black Bunny wins game 2. They are on triple match point.
And that's just typical Black Bunny Gaming behavior right there. That's all I can really say about it. Just down by 1, and then suddenly a 3-goal swing in their favor. Just unfortunate defensive positioning from Lumosity, and now they're going to have a bit of a battle going into this next one as we will load up this replay and obviously, as always, show the wrong thing. NA production reigns supreme as always.
Of course.
Guys, you know all about that, but we'll get to see at least a couple of goals from these replays as we get game 3 loaded on up. And I mean, Black Bunny's looking really good. This is to be expected, but I wouldn't say Lumosity is out of this one just yet. They just need to figure out the couple of things to change to get this game underway, get a win here in this series. What do you think needs to change for them?
I mean, it's interesting. The issues that they had in game 2 were not the same issues that they had in game 1. Game 1, we saw them playing a little bit more awkward, a little bit uncomfortable maybe. Seems like they weren't really getting the touches they wanted, which was kind of killing a lot of their offense. And in this game, in game 2, they had really good touches and they had really good opportunities. They just were not able to connect, kind of shots being a little bit off the mark. So they were able to fix the first issue. They were able to play a lot more comfortable. They were not able to fix the shooting. So obviously, if they're able to, fix that, get some more shots on net like that is from Levi, I think they might be in a good position here, as that's a really good play here from Lumosity to take the first goal lead here early on.
And that's exactly what I've been wanting to see from Levi. Just a really good clear past the defense. No one in the back expecting Levi to get that touch. And it just soars over. Hammer doesn't have enough time to make it back. And Lumosity with an early lead, and I think only the second lead that they've played from, but we all know that 1 goal is not enough against Black Bunny. You're gonna have to find another, and hopefully, for Lumosity's sake, they can find one quick, because if you give Black Bunny the chance, they're gonna put it into the back of the net. It's almost inevitable. Now Avid going to the side. Sorry about that. What was that, Donkey?
No, I was just gonna agree with you. I felt like that after that last game, having that goal lead, not being able to really keep it for very long, that cushion almost feels necessary.
Yeah, you're right, especially when Hammer's putting on shots like that, almost going into the back of the net itself. But a minute passed. No other threats from Black Bunny. That could have been something for Lumosity, though. Just barely a miss, but Vethix played that so well, noticing Levi doesn't have any boost to go off of. They just delay the flick a little bit. Levi's landing, just not giving him any momentum towards the ball. As we said, Black Bunny Gaming, it was inevitable. A 1-goal game. Now, not even a game, a tied game. Pardon my language there. I don't know how to talk this early in the morning.
And you know, it is kind of unfortunate, especially the way that that one developed itself. Felt like a little bit of a misposition here, something we kind of saw a little bit of in that second game, though. Of course, that wasn't as dire as that does tie it. But if you're Lumosity, you definitely want to get that lead back as early as possible. You don't want a repeat of game number 2, where you were able to get that early lead, but not really able to do too much of it. That's a pass inwards, but it's behind, unfortunately. I pushed forward a little bit too much, expecting that one to come forward. This one might be a no-goal opportunity for Hammer, and of course he's putting that one away, and well, that's exactly what you don't want to see. So this one looks very eerily similar to that game number 2. Hammer taking that extra goal to give them that 1-goal lead here. 3:08 left on the clock.
That's just a really good goal from Hammer. You expect him to be able to, for at least one of those mechanical plays during a match, and that was perfect coming out from them. Now another shot going on by Vezix, and this Black Bunny team just can find any angle to put it on net, and that makes them very scary in this match and in the league in general. Now Kiki not able to find anything there, so Avid able to push it out, but not a lot of boost control for Lumosity as of yet. Levi getting a good touch past one. Airlax trying to fake Vezix, but doesn't work out. And that might be in the back of the net. A bit of an overcommit from Lumosity, and Kiki going to put that one in for Black Bunny's third.
Yeah, just maybe a miscommunication. Avid pushing up to take that challenge, but he's either faking or bailing out, seeing Airlax rotating above the ball there, and it wasn't really a third man there. I didn't see Levi on the play, but I had to guess they were on the other side of that offensive third. And well, like I said, this is looking a little bit eerily similar to that game number 2. Of course, they were able to make it a 1-goal game by scoring later on, and were not able to tie it. So if you're Lumosity, you definitely don't want to repeat of that situation. That will spell the end of the series for you.
Oh,
There's the start, though. It's a really good shot from Avid to give them that 2 goals. Make it a 1-goal game here. It's a really nice passing play here as well.
and you notice how Levi tries to get in front of Hammer right there, going for the bump, and it makes Hammer hesitate just enough for Avid to get that slot into the top right corner. That's what we need to see from Lumosity. Maybe a little bit of bump and aggressive play to get some of these goals. Now another one coming out from Airlax and Avid. The combo finally comes together, and it's a really close double from Airlax. Luckily, Avid there to get the dunk on Hammer and put that in. And now, Docky, we're at a tied game once again.
Yeah, not a repeat of history from game number 2 as they're able to tie it. Like you were saying, it's a really good close double there. If you're in the net trying to block those, it can be so difficult to tell exactly where it's going to hit. You're not sure if it's going to hit the crossbar or not. So that little bit of awkwardness, a little bit of hesitation, Avid realizing that immediately, and being there for that dunk. Of course now, though, they will need to score another one. So they will need to take this lead here. For now, they can rest a little bit easy knowing that at the very least they're not losing this one yet. It's a big miss from Hammer. Actually might make things awkward, though. Kiki gets a nice touch, but Levi punches Hammer out of the way, and Airlax shoots that top left corner slot, and they have the lead.
I think this might have came off of a Black Bunny Gaming car as Hammer tries to get up for that one and just tips it into the back of his own net. Unfortunately, nothing they could do at that point. That was going in no matter what. Excellent shot from Airlax to be able to get that. But we've seen what happens when Lumosity goes up by 1, and Black Bunny Gaming immediately off the kickoff to tie this one up again.
It's an unfortunate kickoff. A little bit of a misslip from Avid. Allows that one to just roll past Airlax, who cheated up. I think maybe expecting a little bit more of a dead kickoff, and well, at least Levi in that 1v1 situation, and that's just a difficult position for anyone to be in. But and it is that tie. It's not them going down here. Hopefully they will be able to recover from that one, as this is an awkward ball for the side of Black Bunny Gaming. It bounces awkwardly. Airlax is there for the shot, but gets absolutely dunked there. Now, Avid will have to play this very smart. Does not want to lose possession. Does, though, but Levi's in a good position. This might be a passing opportunity, but it's behind Airlax. Not really going to be able to do too much there. We've seen, though, have been able to take that lead back. We've seen them do it before. definitely want to be the one taking the charge here, as this one might be an opportunity. Goes inside, but Airlax is not in the right position there. The pass may be a little bit too heavy there. It's a miscommunication here. This is not where you want to be having those miscommunications here, because if you do go down, that is the end of the series.
Yeah, you're right. Lives on the line for Lumosity here, and quite a lot to lose. Losing one series in this switch, you will lose out on top two in Swiss, and Vezix is trying to lead Black Bunny Gaming to that 2-0. Excellent saves coming out here by Avid, but just not enough as Vezix just flips into the perfect spot to get that dunk pass. And with 26 seconds left, Lumosity down by 1 once again. This is such a close game. But they're going to have to find one more. Maybe the chance right here.
Whoa.
Avid once again with the shot. It's going to be tied with 20 seconds left.
Yeah, well, a little bit of a mistouch here. I'm not sure exactly what the plan was there. They're trying to get that one mid, but I think there's a chance that if Avid didn't touch it, that might have been an own goal double. They're trying to make things a little bit more interesting, but either way, I'm sure Avid happy enough to see that one go, but we might have another kickoff shenanigans. But Airlax is back to get a touch there, but is in a really, really scary spot. Oh, what a touch from Avid to make sure that that one is put away. Now 9 seconds. There's one more chance. This one bounces awkwardly. Is anyone going to be there for the side of Lumosity? That one's up.
Oh, it's open!
Avid's there for the shot, but Hammer comes out of nowhere to make sure that that one hits the ground. We have overtime yet again. The second overtime in the series. Win or go home for Lumosity.
You're going to have to watch that kickoff as Lumosity does get the win for one of the first times there, and it might be an open net, but no one on Lumosity there to capitalize on the opportunity. Now Airlax up into the air, doesn't expect his other teammate to be going there. Now Levi gonna have to do a quick turn. Avid does have 100 boost though, with Hammer coming up. Have to be very careful on that shot. Now midfield presence. Going over to Airlax, he has a bit of boost. Can he do anything with it? Doesn't look like it, but a double commit coming out from Black Bunny Gaming. They seem to be panicking a little bit on this defensive end, really wanting to get this 3-0 win. That would basically put them as the first seed going into these 2-0 rounds in week 3.
And it's really curious as that's a shot opportunity. Well, I was going to talk about how they've had a lot more offensive pressure, but, well, I don't even get to because it's a really good passing play off of the inside post. Kiki slams against the sidewall as they're so difficult to get to in time without doing that, and it's a really good passing play there to take that lead, and wow, Lumosity very happy to see that one go their way. They survive for now.
And that might be the momentum that Lumosity needs going into this next one. As they needed the win so bad, and Black Bunny Gaming, maybe they get in their heads a little bit thinking, is this the time where that reverse sweep happens? They played a very good game 3, but Lumosity just starting to find some offense going into game number 3, and if they keep that up, game 5 might be on the horizon, Docky.
You know, if you're Lumosity, you're happy to see this one go your way. Obviously, you want to push this one to that game 5. For Black Bunny, you're probably not too upset. You might have the feeling that this one was stolen from you. That one surely would have gone their way had that last second goal, or at least that opportunity not had happened. Either way, though, they have had relatively close games in this series so far. Game 2 was a little bit one-sided there towards the end, but so far, Lumosity showing they are not letting those losses, not letting those goals get to them at all. So we've seen them time and time again go down by goals, go down by a couple of goals, and absolutely show up when needed. It's very good to see that mental is staying strong. It's going to be really easy to allow them to get to your head, and kind of force you to play a little bit slower, a little bit more, out of it, not as confident when you're in those situations.
But all it takes is one goal. Seems like this time Lumosity was able to find that. Will it happen again? We'll have to see what Game 4 has in store for us. As everybody gets ready here on Forbidden Temple. We're going to get straight into this one. Lumosity look to keep themselves alive once again. Black Bunny Gaming on match point. Will Lumosity be able to push the reverse sweep even further? Will Black Bunny Gaming end their 1-0 lives right here? Find out as this kickoff is going to go over into the Lumosity corner. Aerolax does have some space. Gets a really good 50, but Hammer going to be the first one around to that ball. Trying to go off the ceiling. Excellent angle from Hammer, and that's going to be a first goal for Black Bunny Gaming.
As soon as he went off the ceiling, I knew it was over. I have it hoping and praying that this one doesn't go in a tight angle shot. But what are you supposed to do other than perfectly read that ball bounce off the ground and barely off the mark there from Avid, almost having that save just a little bit more towards that left side of the goal there. Had that one away, but again, what are you supposed to do when you're up against a shot like that? Not something you're probably seeing too often if you're not running those SSL lobbies. So, you know, that is the first goal for Black Bunny, but that's one way to get it. And a lot of time, though, they've come back from being down before, so they should not be too stressed yet.
That's going to be an awkward read for Lumosity as Aerolax, I believe. It might have been Avid. One of them and Levi kind of double committed for a ball. Both of them not able to get a touch on it, but Levi in the midfield here, a very impressive touch, making Hammer move back, and now Avid with the demo. Will Lumosity be able to make a play? The pass out to Levi, but it goes as far as Vezix, who pre-jumps the shot. That's going to be a really good read from Black Bunny to keep that out of their net. 3:40 remaining for Lumosity to try and find one. Avid looking for the redirect with no boost. Unable to put anything too threatening on, but Aerolax does get it past, and we're seeing this happen a lot on the Black Bunny side as of lately. Just past a couple of the members of the squad, and suddenly Lumosity looking to take the offensive possession, and they're doing really well with it.
And it feels like a lot of the touches that Lumosity are getting are good. I've noticed a little bit more often that no one's in a position to take the shot, but of course, as I say, really good play. Listen, the position here from Avid is ridiculous. Just absolutely has full trust in Aerolax to beat Hammer, of all people, to that ball and be in position to make the shot. And Aerolax does exactly that, and we have a tied game.
And that is some of the risk that you have to take playing Black Bunny Gaming. Luckily, it works out for Lumosity this time. Now we'll continue on. Hammer with possession. Levi going to be in a rough spot, but trying to bump Hammer out of the way, forcing another teammate to take the shot. That's going to work well for Lumosity. Now a 1v1 between Aerolax and Hammer. Hammer is going to take the path out, and it goes straight to Kiki, who's going to clear this over to the side. About half the game gone, but we're seeing some really good opportunities from both of these teams. Now Aerolax with an open net. Hammer barely able to get to that on time, but Lumosity might try for something here. Unfortunate miss from Levi, and now it moves back to the midfield once again.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of opportunity there. I felt like if I might have had a touch there, probably would have gotten blocked away. Avid getting a less than favorable 50 there. I'll put that one off to the side, but like you've been saying, it seems like Lumosity's had a lot more offensive opportunities than we've seen them have prior. Of course, though, they haven't really been able to take advantage of too many of them, aside from the one goal that they have gotten so far. You have to think, though, them getting as many opportunities as they've gotten has to feel good. Like they can maybe put some more control on it, but first you got to get past Hammer.
Oh no, that's in the net.
Go all the way in. It's an own goal. A little bit of a mistouch there from the side of, I believe that was Vezix. Well, that'll give Lumosity the lead.
And you can see the idea of Vezix wanting to try and put that to the corner where Kiki was waiting. Unfortunately, just gets the ball a little bit far behind him, and it goes into the back of the net instead. Lumosity, every time they take the lead, we've seen that they kind of back off a little bit. They're going to need to keep going with this offensive pressure. It looks like that is the play off of this kickoff. Hammer getting the save, though. Vezix in line. Kiki is going to get this clear, but it's going to be Aerolax to clear it. That was a bit awkward positioning for Lumosity, maybe a bit too far pushed up. Now I've heard another person jump. It's up to Levi to get that off the backboard, and he does so. Minute 12 left. Black Bunny looking for opportunity. Not able to find anything too threatening, but with Hammer waiting midfield, you know a shot could come in at any time. Avid going out quick for this one. A minute left now. He does get that mid boost. Maybe an opportunity for Lumosity on the counterattack, but it's going to be cleared away immediately by the Black Bunny side. Aerolax now with the touch. Getting that over. Levi tries to keep the midfield, but it only goes as far as Hammer. Avid pre-jumping that. Hammer over one. Pass out to Kiki. It's going to be blocked by Aerolax, but a lot of chances for Black Bunny Gaming. That's going to be a miss, though. Counterattack opportunity once again, and it keeps going back and forth across the field, Docky.
Yeah, maybe some miscommunication on the side of Black Bunny Gaming, as there was a little bit of a double commit and then a misplay. No one really in any position to make sure that that one cleared the long way. Of course, now that you've got to deal with Hammer, that one's off to the side a little bit there. No one there to take this shot. Well, it's still dangerous. There's a big miss from Aerolax, might make things a little bit awkward. I don't think anyone from the side of Black Bunny expected that miss from Aerolax. No one really there to take full advantage of it and punish. It's an awkward ball that Aerolax is going to need to play this smart, but does not actually go for it. And that one does touch the ground, and well, we have a game 5 on our hands.
Lumosity somehow overcoming all the odds, and as I said, the reverse sweep's still alive for this squad as we're going to go to Champions Field, but we talk about it a lot. Black Bunny is not necessarily in a bad spot here. They might have just lost 2, but we know what happens when we go to Champions Field. That's when Hammer turns his monitor on and starts playing for real. I think Game 5 is the scariest place to see Black Bunny Gaming, but Lumosity looking really good in this last game, keeping that defensive line held, and unfortunately, just a couple of mistakes from Black Bunny causing that Game 4 loss. Lumosity is going to have to keep up that defensive line and find a bit more creativity in their tanks of boost here to be able to get this Game 5. Do you think they'll be able to do it?
Well, I think you have a couple perspectives here, right? You can, if you're Black Bunny, you can be frustrated because I think those last 2 game losses kind of were giveaways, right? They had the lead in game number 3, but unfortunately, off of a misplay, Lumosity was able to tie it and force an overtime. And then, of course, the own goal in this game number 4, giving Lumosity that lead that allowed them to win the actual game. So you can be frustrated, or you can think to yourself, well, we should have won. We would have won. Just a little bit of misplays. We have the ability to win this one. Of course, if you're Lumosity, you say, okay, maybe it was a little bit too close for comfort. We're going to take full advantage of this. We're going to try our hardest to win this series. We're in the position that they're in. They were up against it. Now we have a tie series. We're here in Game 5. Love to see it. A lot of people may be thinking this one would have ended in a sweep, but here we are, Champions Field. You love to see it. Of course, it's got to start here for Lumosity. You definitely want to set the tone here. You need to score quickly. You need to score first, it feels. You do not want to allow, like you said, Hammer to turn his monitor on and take over this game.
Having some good possession here for Lumosity as Aerolax is going to hit that high. Avid already up in the air for it. The drop down shot looks for the double. Aerolax with the shot, but it's going to be a little bit wide. And Lumosity let one go to the wayside. You got to shake that off and go for another shot as quick as possible. That's going to be another really good setup from Avid, but Vezix with the pre-jump going to be able to take that out. And now Black Bunny looking for a counterattack, not able to find it, and we see Levi has moved on to the Batmobile. And something that I've seen happen a lot is when Levi moves to the Batmobile, they win that game. So that's going to be scary for Black Bunny Gaming moving forward as Aerolax gets this over to the side. A miss from Kiki, but Vezix is going to be the first one there to that ball. And play moves on to the Lumosity side. Hammer with the shot, bumped out by Aerolax, and that's going to be a crucial bump, not allowing Hammer any more time on that ball.
Oh, team bump. That's the thing. It's been a little bit awkward on the side of Black Bunny. I haven't really seen them play this awkwardly as that one almost goes in. Might be an opportunity here, but of course Hammer has that one away. And a little bit more double commits, some team bumps, some awkward play from the side of Black Bunny, something I'm not used to seeing from this team.
Oh, that's such
nerves
a good touch.
getting to them, but a really good job of making sure that they haven't really been punished for it. They have not allowed a goal. And that's gonna be a little bit scary for Lumosity, right? You've done a very good job of making this team uncomfortable, but you have not been able to score. Is that one might go all the way? Oh my goodness, I'm sure Aerolax would have been raving about that one if that pinch connected. Unfortunately for Lumosity, it does not. And we still have a tie game here, just about halfway through this one, and no scoring yet. Kind of seeing that return to game 1. This one's a little bit awkward. anyone going to be there for the shot? No, it will fall to Avid. This one might be dangerous. Airlax takes a shot inside corner, but Vezix is just sitting there. Again, though, not really taking full advantages of some of this awkward position they've had. That is going to be a goal, though. Try again, and surely you will score. Lumosity has the lead.
I think Kiki might have had a little bit of connection issue there. They suddenly left the party. No idea where they're at on the field. Oh, they lost connection to the game. They're going to have to try and get back in as quick as possible. Right now, it's a 2v3. And with a goal being scored, we can't restart the game or anything at this point. They're just going to have to play on. But Black Bunny Gaming still having Vezix and Hammer in this game. That's a scary duo, no matter who it is. That's so unfortunate for Kiki. Because their internet might have just crashed out. It might be an open net opportunity for Lumosity, and it is with no boost on the side of Black Bunny Gaming. Lumosity getting a freebie.
And that has to be so frustrating for Black Bunny. They were playing so well, and an unfortunate disconnect causes this to go to the wayside. It's just unfortunate position to be in here for Black Bunny Gaming. Not entirely certain as to what happened. I don't know if there was an outage or if there was just a full-on PC crash, but for the time being, there's really unfortunately nothing much we can do about it other than to, I guess the alternative would be to give that FF away, which I don't think anyone wants. This is just, yeah, like you said, just quite unfortunate.
And this is the part where I really wish we had those admin privileges to pause, because we could absolutely try to do that. Unfortunately, we don't have that, as only RLCS admins really get that feature in the game, which means all these smaller leagues that we have here, like ours in particular, you kind of just have to go off the seat of your pants, and the rules are if there's a disconnect, you just got to play on. Now, we've seen a couple of times that players will pick to have a player sit out in these sort of situations, but not against the rules to play the 2v3, and when you're going up against someone like Hammer, I think playing the 3v3 makes more sense. Now, unfortunately for Black Bunny Gaming, they have quite a road ahead of them, as that almost goes in from Hammer, but Aerolax there for the save. For Black Bunny Gaming, you're going to be a little bit salty if they don't get a goal here, and they find one off of the 50 from Hammer. And it's not done for Black Bunny Gaming just yet. They got an SSL and a C3 on the team. They could definitely make some outplays, and you know what Hammer does when Game 5 is on the horizon.
Yeah, I might try to see some mind games, attempt to get a solo play. If there's anyone that could probably 1v3 everyone in this lobby, it's probably Hammer. Of course, though, like I've said, it's quite unfortunate. This is not, the kind of things that we want to see happen. But it's just unfortunate, but... And props to Black Bunny for just playing it out. Obviously, they could just say, well, I think this one's over, and just say, there's no point in playing it out, but obviously they want to have that chance, and I do appreciate them sticking through it as best as they can. Like you were saying, we don't really have the ability to pause it, which is quite unfortunate, but, I don't think Lumosity can be too upset with themselves. They weren't, it's not like they were gifted into this position. They did fight to get to this Game 5, and the initial goal did come with it being a standard 3v3, but how though? It is unfortunate to see it end this way for sure.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. Lumosity is going to be taking the win, and a little bit of a anticlimactic finish, if you'd say the least. You gotta give props to Black Bunny for trying to play it through, but the 3v2 just a little bit too much coming out, and that is a tough thing to have in a league like this. It's not anything that any of us ever want to see, but you cannot control the internet, and unfortunately for Kiki, it just seems to have burnt out at that moment. If it could have happened maybe a couple of minutes earlier when we were still waiting to join the lobby, probably would have been something we could do, but with it happening after Lumosity getting the first goal, after 2 minutes had already passed in the game, there's not really much anybody can do about that. It's not fair to the other team to suddenly take away their goal in that pivotal Game 5. But for the good news for Black Bunny Gaming, it's definitely not over from there. This is only round 2, and there's still plenty of time to come back, and whoever they'd be facing, in that round 1 of playoffs. I would be scared if I was them, because Black Bunny still looks like a completely dominant team. And that just makes the bracket so much harder for every other team besides Black Bunny Gaming. So I'm not necessarily angry about their position here in the Swiss. Honestly, when it comes to getting momentum on a day, that might even bode well for Black Bunny Gaming. But Lumimosity now 2-0 with a chance to go forward as one of the top 2 seeds into playoffs after next week. We're going to have to wait and see who they face after the rest of the matches go forward. But they got to be looking good. They got to be happy about that win there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, that puts Lumimosity in a very, very good position, right? That 2-0 spot where they only need to win 1 more. They can afford to lose up to 2 more. Obviously, I don't think they want to let it get to that far, but it does make their job a little bit easier. Like you said, no, it does make me scared for those teams in the 1-in-1 group. They will have a tough challenge, I think, coming up against what I had to imagine is a Black Bunny with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Oh, yeah, I have to agree. Especially, I do gotta say, it is a reverse sweep, which I think is the first time that's happened, but you have to put a little bit of an asterisk next to it. I hate to say that, but it is kind of the truth when you have a DC'd player coming out in Game 5, you know. You gotta be happy if you're Lumimosity, you've pulled off history, but at the same time, with a little bit easier than you might have anticipated, but they're definitely going to take that and look forward to their next match. And we are going to start looking forward to the next match as well, guys. Stick with us. After the break, we're going to have Dignipause playing up against Awata Gaming. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
Whee!
on the clock. What a save!
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to RFDL. We are in Swiss Round 2, our second day of that. I'm Ecliptic Fades. I am here with Arilax, who just came off of a little bit of an easier win than I think we would have expected against Black Bunny Gaming with a reverse sweep. You guys played really well, but I just got to say it again. Unfortunate about that DC in Game 5, but I still think that you guys looked like a really good team, pushing it all the way to Game 5 to begin with.
Yeah, that was, like, obviously going into that game, it was already really stressful, because it's Black Bunny. Obviously, they're a terrifying team, but we were able to find the momentum going into Game 3 and 4, and then just, again, it was just really unfortunate how that Game 5 went, but I still feel like I feel like honestly in that game it was really just a toss-up who could have won that, but obviously with the disconnect it's unfortunate, but that it's unfortunate, but Black Bunny's still in it, and I can pretty much guarantee that they're going to make playoffs regardless.
Yeah, I don't think that's much of a question for anybody here on the desk. It's more than likely that they'd make playoffs. And now all the 1-1 teams have to be scared of having to play them next, because they're going to definitely have a chip on their shoulder after that Game 5, and they are not going to allow it to get to a Game 5 again, probably for the rest of Swiss. So we'll have to see how they play next week. But for now, Arilax, we have another match to discuss, and this one going to be our last 1-0 match to start to end round 2. It's going to be Dignipause versus Awapta Gaming. This one's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it definitely will. And yeah, this is definitely going to be a very, very interesting one, because we've seen kind of just a lot of shift, especially from Awapta Gaming in terms of just that team roster. And it's going to be very interesting to see just if they're able to find that chemistry going into this game.
Yeah, we've seen some shifts from both of these teams lately, but I would definitely say that the advantage in these changes goes over to Dignipause, who's brought on quite a well-known member of the community, an Infernal, who's a very talented player. Has played for CRL multiple times for his collegiate team, and he is a very, very mechanical game sense player. He just kind of combines it all, and it makes it into a very tough spot to be in playing against this team, especially when you consider Sylvie and Nova also being on the team.
Yeah, because like that combination between like Sylvie and Infernal just means that any team that they go up against is going to be under immense pressure, especially on their defensive end, and Awaptic is definitely going to have to be ready to deal with that, or else it's just going to be a shootout for Dignipause.
Along with that, Awaptic now bringing in newest member Bunky, who hasn't actually played a full 3v3 with the squad yet. So that's going to be interesting to see how the chemistry works between them with all the off time that they've had to possibly practice, but I'm not sure exactly how much practice Awaptic had put in the past few weeks, especially with them not having to play last week when BDS had to forfeit against them.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about some of these teams, Arilax, getting into this. You want to go ahead and talk a little bit about Dignipause?
I gladly will. So Dignipause, a very, very tough team consisting of Sylvie, Infernal, and Nova. 3 extremely good players. I already said that that combination between Sylvie and Infernal is already just terrifying enough. But Nova, honestly, I feel like Nova is really just the staple of this team, because like you see on that player card it says Champ 1, but I've played up against this team. When it's structured like this, Nova feels like a GC, at least, and it is terrifying to go up against.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to change that icon on Sylvie's player card. Why is that? Yes, because Sylvie has indeed hit SSL as well as of recently, so that means that right now they've got an SSL on the team along with Infernal and Nova Fox. That's going to be quite a confidence boost for the players on Dignipause, and I think that's going to do really well for them.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of reminding me of the old X3 roster where we had Korup, who was labeled as GC3, who had hit SSL, and then I think it was also Shy, who was put in as GC1 but had hit GC2. It's kind of the similar thing here, except with Sylvie having hit SSL, but then Infernal also having hit GC3. So it's even more terrifying if you ask me.
I agree. Along with that, we have more than just Dignipause to talk about. We also have Awapted Gaming, but I do need to make sure of something really quick before I get to all of that. I just got to make sure that they've got everything they need here, which they do. So let's go ahead and talk about this opponent coming through, which is going to be Awapted Gaming, who is going to have T-Park, Daki, and Bunky. Not the free agent card for Bunky, but the Awapted card, which I don't think we actually have, which is funny enough. So they get the free agent card for now. But very incredible team as well. Not necessarily getting the results that they've wanted during league play, but starting off with a forfeit from BDS, meaning they haven't had to play yet. I wonder if that's going to detriment them in this match against Dignipause.
Yeah, but I've had the chance to play with literally every single one of these players. Daki, obviously, quite a lot, but T-Park and Bunky, I've gotten the chance to as well. Bunky, I think only yesterday. And every single one of these players is really, really solid. And we also see on those player cards, this is a lot more balanced of a team in terms of rank, which I feel is honestly the kind of structure that you need, especially when you're like just recently gone through a massive roster change, because it's gonna just automatically give you an extra edge in getting that chemistry up.
Yeah, I agree there. I definitely think that it's a good thing to have, to be so close together. It definitely means that you have a bit of an easier time practicing together, that's for sure. I gotta wonder how Nova feels on a team with Sylvie and Infernal trying to practice in casual lobbies with that. Oh, Aerolax kind of died there for a second. But that being said, I gotta ask, with Dignipause coming in here as I'd say the favorites based on rank, what do you think Awaptic needs to do to kind of gain an advantage at the start of this match?
To gain an advantage, honestly, I think the best bet is just trying to sever that connection between Sylvie and Infernal, because those two are insanely mechanical, and they're going to be putting shots on your net where you didn't even think a shot was possible. So just shutting both of them down as much as possible is definitely going to be a strategy in the eyes of Awaptic, but that's obviously very, very difficult to do. But we'll just have to see if something like that works, or if Awaptic has something up their sleeves.
Yeah, I agree there. We'll have to see what they're able to do. We do have all the players in the lobby, but we have some of them still just finishing off their final practice games before we get into this lobby. I'm definitely excited to see what's going on here. I will let you know a little bit of a behind-the-scenes thing. For some reason, Infernal's name in this is Slumped. So I'm kind of wondering what the mental is behind that. Maybe that's a red herring. Maybe that's just to make people think that they're in a slump when they might not be. But interesting coming out from them. What do you think about that, Arrow?
That's definitely an interesting development, but I mean, the name is Slumped, however, it's Infernal. So I like, even if they're slumped, it's not gonna be that much worse. Like, Infernal's still an insanely good player.
Yeah. I definitely gotta agree. Like, you cannot, even if his name in game is slumped, I don't think you can, underestimate him at all, because you give them the chance and they're going to put it into the back of your net. And when you're working with a duo as good as Sylvie and Nova, you're not the only one to look out for, especially with, as we said, Sylvie hitting SSL recently. They're probably going to have a boost to the mental when that happens, because once you hit that highest level of the game, you kind of just feel like all the pressure is off. There's nothing more that you have to like grind for. You're feeling like you can finally just play your game, and that can be very scary getting into a league match like that, because if you have somebody that is literally playing with nothing on their shoulders, that could lead to some very scary things. And with Sylvie being as mechanical as they are, you gotta wonder what they might show off in this. But at the same time, they have been known to troll against Daki a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, and we'll have to see if that occurs in this game, but there's no real way to know if that'll happen or not unless we just get into the games.
Yeah, I said we are still just waiting for a couple of these players to get out of their final training match. For some reason, it says that they won in OT, but it's been saying that for like the last 3 minutes, so I don't necessarily think that. But once they are out of the match, we will get started right away. I will go ahead and ask you, Arilax, for your prediction going into this match.
My prediction, okay. This one is definitely difficult. I won't lie, I was going to go with Dignipause, but now that you say that Infernal's name is literally slumped in-game, that definitely changes things up a bit. But at the same time, Sylvie just recently hitting SSL, I feel like Sylvie will be able to just like sort of like pick up the pieces that Infernal might be dropping, which will just leave Dignipause at their full strength as per usual. So I'm gonna have to say that Dig takes this in 4.
All right, well, in my opinion, I do think Ooptic does have a way to put up a fight. Bunky, for his debut, when he played a couple of weeks ago during week 11, he looked really good with Rex on the team with Daki. I think T-Park
Rex is goated, though.
Rex is goated, but I think that Bunky is going to mesh well with T-Park and Daki. I think that this goes to a game 5. At the same time, though, I feel the same as you. Dignipause is just too strong of a team to allow Ooptic to run over them like that. I think it goes to game 5. I think we have Dignipause taking that one at the end of the day. And with that being said, guys, we are ready for our second match of the day. So let's get right into it. It's time to see who is going to take that final 2-0 slot for round number 2. It's going to be either Dignipause or Ooptic Gaming. Let's get into the match and see what these teams had to offer us. We go into Manfield Night to start off our series. Gonna be not Sylvie, or Nova, actually. I read that wrong. Gonna be Nova against, I think it was Bunky on the kickoff. Not Sylvie immediately going into the air to start this one. Daki with a backflip. That's not how you want to start your series if you're Ooptic Gaming. And Bunky going to have to bail Ooptic out quick. Now pass over to T-Park, but Sylvie immediately cutting it off. We're seeing a bit of pressure coming out from both teams. Both of them very quick to try and shoot on net, wanting to get that pressure as soon as possible while we get into this game.
Yeah, but getting that pressure out early is also meaning that you're going to leave your defense open, as Bunky has to dive in to get that save. Nearly an insane play, but able to keep that one away. Now Nova going to go up for this, doesn't have the boost to follow it up. Now Ooptic, literally every player in the corner, Sylvie trying to just dive in, make something out of that situation, but isn't quite able to. T-Park trying to get that one over. Infernal taking this one under Daki, and only has Bunky to beat. Sylvie gonna be in midfield, tries for the shot, and it's going to be just right off the bar, and we stay tied at 0-0.
Excellent touch from Sylvie there over to the corner. Bunky going to have to get this one out, and Daki Getting a very nice touch as well to clear that further. Unfortunately, no Awoptic member going to be upfield ready for that. We just go right back to their own corner. We've been spending a lot of time on the Awoptic side of the field, as looks like Dignipaw is working on getting the boost possession away from Awoptic, doing a really good job at it so far. Daki not going to be having any boost in his tank and being the last back. Very awkward situation. Now, not the best touch from Sylvie there, though. And T-Park able to clear it out. Maybe we'll see some action on the yellow side of the field, but not for too long as it immediately gets cleared out. Sylvie, out with the touch. Goes straight down to Bunky, and we just see a lot of possession being given away from both of these teams. Now an option for T-Park, but it's going to ring off the crossbar. And Wapta Gaming leaving the first goal possibly to Dignipause. We go towards their net once again.
Still 0-0, coming up on half the game remaining. This is a lot less of a shootout as I thought it would be. However,
Oh,
Daki
no!
just gonna put that one in off of the own goal from Sylvie. That is very, very unfortunate for the side of Dignipause. You see Daki just try and put that one over, and Sylvie just trying to get up for that. Is just gonna hit that one right off the crossbar and straight into their own net.
And that's not the start that you want for Dignipause. Unfortunately, just a little bit too far underneath that ball. Over to the side, should I say, actually, to get that out. But now, opportunity for Sylvie. Bunky doing a really good job of getting in the way with that 50. Daki looking for an opportunity. It's going to be past one. Sylvie. This time, no ungoal coming out from them. They get it right off to the side with a crucial touch. They do not want to let Awoptic get a 2-goal lead. Awoptic doing better than I thought they were going to look at the start of this match. Nova trying to turn the tide in their favor, though. Daki demoed on this play. It's going to be Infernal, who actually changed his name to Slumfernal. Love it coming out from them. They're still having fun with the game, even though they're not necessarily in the best mental state. They're in a good enough one for this league match, and that's all that matters. But T-Park going to have it over them. Infernal gets one touch. Can't get the second. Goes up for it, but it's a double commit with Nova. And that allows Awoptic to get a clean beat out of the field. Less than a minute and a half remaining. Sylvie needs to try and find one. An excellent touch, but not going to be able to get past the Awoptic defense.
Coming up on just a minute remaining, Dignipause is going to start scrambling to get this goal, or else they're going to lose game one. As I've always said, Rocket League, a very momentum-based game. Getting that first win is definitely going to favor Awoptic. So Dignipause is definitely going to try and just shut that out as much as possible. As T-Park going to try and put this one middle. Sylvie has to get a save. A bump on Nova. It's going to put a lot more pressure on Dignipause, but finally a breakaway is going to happen. Infernal getting a good clear out from that 50. Daki trying to get the touch, isn't quite able to. Sylvie trying for the sidewall read, doesn't quite get the right touch. It comes off the corner. That's going to allow T-Park to hit this over one. Sylvie trying to keep this one out of that Dignipause side. This is going to bounce dangerously for Awoptic. No touch, and Sylvie is going to tie it up with only 21 seconds remaining.
Just a really awkward spot for Bunky there. T-Park kind of expecting their teammate to get the touch up on the back wall, and it just drops down in front of the net. Sylvie kind of gifted one with 21 seconds left, and that's definitely scary for Awoptic. You did not want to be in a tied game situation going to OT, especially looking at our last match that went to OT a couple of times. We saw that higher seeded team usually able to take those. Now this time, will Awoptic be able to cause an upset as this is in front of the net? Gonna drop down, and we are in overtime for game number one.
Overtime in game one. That already shows just how close these two teams are. Excuse me. Is Sylvie gonna try for the double? Okay, what happened? I had to look away for a second. That is absolutely insane from Sylvie, coming off that sidewall and just getting the perfect touch. Daki absolutely not ready. And only 6 seconds in, Dignipause is just able to steal that win away from Awoptic.
That's tough for a Waptic. Kind of giving it away in the last couple of seconds of the game doesn't feel good. But if you're a Waptic, you're gonna have to shake that off as soon as possible so you can get ready for game number 2. And for Dignipause, you're very happy with that result, going straight to that game win, and Sylvie really showing up for this team, putting them on the back with those shots going on. In fact, Sylvie scoring every single goal in this game number 1 somehow.
I mean, I guess you're right there, but the scoreline was still 2-1 instead of 3-0. But still, Dignipause is going to take that one, and that is absolutely fantastic for them, as just stealing that one away from the jaws of victory for Awoptic is just very, very well done. And that's going to give them a lot of momentum going into this game too. And Awoptic is definitely going to have to try and figure out what was going on in that game that was allowing those opportunities in those last couple seconds of that game.
Yeah, and we'll have to exactly see what they do to adapt to the situation going into game 2 as we move to Urban Central here. Awoptic not going to want to let this get to match point too quickly. As it goes over to Awoptic off the kickoff. Infernal with a very awkward touch going straight down. Nova can't get to it, and T-Park gets the first goal here in the first 10 seconds for Awoptic Gaming.
This is very different to what we saw last game. Just immediate shot coming out from Awoptic off of that slight mistouch from Infernal. And Awoptic going to take advantage of that very well, putting themselves up by 1. This is putting them in a great position to get some wins here as Bunky tries for the shot. Sylvie has to make a save. Daki trying to put this one dangerously into the middle, but Infernal just going to try and carry this one out. T-Park getting it over one, gets the demo, and Bunky is going to be there, and Awoptic seems to have woken up.
And that's just a really good play from T-Park. Nova not expecting T-Park to be coming in with so much momentum. No boost in the tank, but still gets the demo, and Bunky, excellent positioning to be able to come and get that shot, even having to go through the smoke screen just to make sure that they got it on target. Was right in front of the net, so positioning and placement not that hard, but you never know where that ball might run into after a demo like that. Now, Dignipause off to a quick deficit. They're going to have to come back really quickly, and if you're looking for anybody to do that, you're going to be looking at Sylvie to get a quick mechanical goal, kind of bring the momentum back for Dignipause. And with a chance, but Bunky, amazing positioning on the backboard to be able to get that read and get the save. Now Nova not able to touch that one. It's going to be a clear net for Awoptic. Sylvie has to get in the way of that, gets the pre-jump on the flick. There's no third goal for Awoptic just yet. An excellent touch midfield by Bunky, and he is playing extremely scary for this Awoptic team.
And that's one thing that I actually noticed about Bunky when I played with them, is that they are absolutely insane on the offensive side, but so is Sylvie, as they are going to put in the first goal for Dignipause, cutting down that goal lead in half. As we saw 2 members of Awoptic Gaming just overcommitting onto that ball. That is definitely very unfortunate for them, but they still have that 1 goal buffer. With 3 minutes 30 remaining, this is still anyone's game. As we see Awoptic immediately putting on some pressure on Dignipause. Daki going to be able to cut this one off from Sylvie, but Nova going to put this one way downfield. Sylvie gets the boost. He's going to try for the shot, but isn't quite able to get the angle. It's going to allow Awoptic to just take control of this, as we get a tiny bit of a double commit in the corner there. Monkey going to try and put this one through, is able to get past Sylvie, gets a bump around Nova. Now Sylvie going to try and take this one around the Awoptic Gaming defense. Isn't quite able to. Gets it past 1 though. Now Bunky trying to go up, isn't quite able to get the good touch. That's going to allow Infernal to put this one over to the side here. Nova trying for the touch, isn't quite able to get it. Bunky with the dunk, and an insane save from Infernal. Sylvie thought that was in, but it might be all the way down to the other side of the field.
What an excellent save coming out from Infernal. I don't know if he can call himself washed after that one. Now Sylvie taking possession one again. And something I'm seeing from Dignipods is they are putting a lot of pressure on Sylvie to kind of take this ball down and do something with it to set up their team. It seems like Infernal and Nova kind of trying to just play the backfield a little bit and let Sylvie do what they do best, which are those mechanics. It could work out really well for the team. However, as Awoptic has shown, it's not always going to be in your favor. You might need to see a little bit more creativity than just sending Sylvie up for the ball if Awoptic want to take this, or if Dignipods want to take this game too, pardon me. Now Nova, maybe a chance against T-Park. T-Park gets the demo, it's rolling in, and T-Park gets the third goal for Awoptic Gaming, up by 2 once again.
This is very, very good for Awoptic, seemingly just taken all of the momentum that Dignitas built up in those last couple seconds of that first game, and just completely shifting the momentum over in their favor. With 2-goal lead, a minute 40 remaining. Still not an insurmountable lead, but definitely very, very difficult, as Awoptic has shown that they are able to keep out a lot of these mechanical plays from Dignipas. As we nearly saw one there. Infernal trying to get this one out, but it doesn't quite get the touch. It's just going to pass right to T-Park, and that goal lead increases to 3.
T-Park having the series and game of his league career right now. Showing up huge for Awoptic Gaming. Making sure that they take a 3-goal lead here. I think scoring possibly at least 3 of those goals. That is not how you want to continue though for Awoptic Gaming. Where'd the defense go? It looked like Sylvie just had an excellent touch on the ball here. Almost got bumped out by Daki, but no such thing. And the rest of the back line just mysteriously gone for Awoptic.
That is definitely very, very interesting to see. Dignipa is going to definitely be liking that, as now, once again, only 2 goals down. Daki trying to put that one back up to 3. Sylvie getting a fantastic save. Now Bunky off the ceiling. Gonna try for the ceiling shot. Sylvie gets a save. T-Park tries for the follow-up. Is not quite able to get it. Now a touch all the way backfield. 1 minute remaining. Daki getting demoed. Sylvie going to be off the ceiling, trying for their own ceiling shot. Not quite able to get it. T-Park going to be able to clear that one away. Now Nova, the only one on the backfield, is able to get that one out. Bunky calling off Daki for that shot, nearly going in. Sylvie able to save that one away. Coming up on 40 seconds left. Dignipaws still on their defensive side. They're going to need to break out, but they can't do that if you're leaving Bunky with those shots, because they're going to nail those every single day. And with a 3-goal lead, 30 seconds remaining, it is pretty much all Awoptic's game.
And this Awoptic squad looking a lot better than I usually saw in our old league play. They were usually a lot more defensive, playing on their back third a lot of the time. This iteration of the squad seems like they're a lot more attack heavy, and it's been working out for them. T-Park, as I said, he's been having a game here, but he's looking so much more confident on the attacking side of the ball than he does normally, and it's really been working out. However, they'll be coming forward. You don't want to give Dignipaws any momentum going into this game 3, but as we said, less than 10 seconds remaining, a 3-goal lead off of the crossbar. This is going to hit the ground, and Awoptic Gaming is going to tie this series up at 1 apiece.
And Awoptic Gaming doing very, very well in that game, just completely shifting the momentum, I feel, because that first game was very, very close in terms of both teams. Eventually, Dignipaws running away with it in the end, but this one was a lot more convincing of a game for Awoptic, and they played extremely well.
As I said, T-Park having a great game there. You would think he took the MVP, but no, that's going to Bunky. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 saves, and 5 shots on that game. This man was everywhere on the field, and he's really showing that he was a great pickup for Awoptic Gaming, really fitting into those rotations very well and just meshing with the team on a level that I'm not sure that we've seen for Awoptic in a long time. This is making Awoptic a pretty scary team looking forward into this Swiss, and we might have been able to see this last week against BDS, but unfortunately that match just didn't end up happening. Now I gotta ask you, Arrow, what does Dignipaws do with this match happening here? How did they change their playstyle to kind of accommodate for this loss that they just took?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I feel like just there were a couple unfortunate moments that kind of just spiraled out of control in terms of Dignipause. They just really need to kind of lock things down and keep up the momentum as much as they can, because they are definitely capable of taking down the Zooptic squad, but not if they're allowing them some free shots. As we see Infernal trying to pop this one over. This is going to be very awkward for the side of Dignipause. Sylvie trying for the double, doesn't quite get it. It's going to be off the bar. We're seeing a lot more pressure from Dignipause already, and this is definitely what we're going to want to see, as this is what Dignipause is really good with, and that's exactly what's going to work for them, as Nova is going to slam that one home. I believe Infernal actually bumping the defender out of the way there. Very, very well played.
A very good team play by Dignipause to start, and that is exactly what you want to see for Dignipause going into this. You want to see them utilizing their team members a little bit more. As I said, I think they were putting a little bit too much pressure on Sylvie to perform the entire duties of the team. Now, maybe getting a more team-oriented rotation going on, allowing all of the members to be a part of the attacking play, might be exactly what Dignipause needs to get past the Zooptic defense. It's been really good so far in this series. Now, Bunky taking this up, looks for the flip reset, not able to find it. Sylvie puts it down, but it's only going to go as far as Daki. Bunky looking for the pass out, gets one touch, but it's going to drop straight down, and Nova Fox will be there waiting. Also got a bump on one of the Zooptic members, meaning they had to push back, play defensively. T-Park waiting to see what he can do. This game number 3 had such a standout performance in game number 2. I have to see if he can replicate that. Now getting that beat, but not surviving the 50.
Oh.
Bunky, excellent save. And Bunky, as we said, the defensive backline of his team so far.
Yeah, and they're doing very, very well, both on that defensive line, but also on offense, putting in quite a few good shots in that second game. We're gonna have to see if they can replicate this, as Daki does not have the boost to follow this, tries for the shot. And T-Park gonna have to take this one back, takes control, isn't quite able to get the touch that's gonna allow Sylvie an opening. Bumping Daki as well. Bunky gonna have to try and come in, get this one out. Quite a few 50s coming out. Very dangerous for the side of Zooptic, and it's nearly going in, but Daki gonna see through the chaos and get that one out of their side of the field. Coming up on half the game remaining here. Zooptic still down by 1. They're gonna have to try and find the just offensive pressure that they had in that second game in order to come back in this one.
Something they're going to need to look at is some boost control, because it seems like Dignipause has most of the midfield boost pressure. That's really throwing Zooptic off, not allowing them to go for too many shots. Now a chance. Pots out for T-Park. Sylvie can't get the touch, but Daki is not expecting it. Now insane shot coming out from Infernal. No one expecting that on Zooptic. Dignipause now up by 2 in this crucial game 3.
That was just insane shot from Infernal. Absolutely fantastic, and with 2 goals up, Zooptic once again looking to be in a very, very dangerous position here, as Dignipause might be able to force themselves into a match point situation. But Zooptic definitely found something in that second game. They're going to have to try and tap back into that energy once again, as Daki going to try and put on the pressure. Nova going to cut this one off immediately. Trying to put this one through, isn't quite able to. T-Park going to cut that off. Moving up the right side of the field once again, tries to get it under Infernal, isn't quite able to. Bunky going to go for the pinch here. It's not that strong, but it's going to be enough for Daki to cover it. Get off the backboard. Nobody's able to touch it. Bunky with the fake, and Daki doesn't quite get the touch. And that's definitely an opportunity that Zooptic should have had, but they just weren't quite able to.
And a little bit of miscommunication coming out from Zooptic, as T-Park and Daki in the same exact position in the opponent's corner. Not going to really lead to any sort of goal opportunity. This might be able to work here. T-Park going to be going up for this one. Gets the 50 on Infernal. It's just such a slow ball in the midfield. No one really able to attack it. Too much of a good angle. And with less than a minute left, Optic in dire here. They're going to want to find a goal in the next couple of seconds if they want to find a way to come back. And with Sylvie getting that dunk, that might be a third goal for Dignipod. And that's going to probably be the end of Game 3.
That's definitely going to be it, unless Awaptic can figure out something quick. And I mean, we've seen BDS do it in the past. It might have actually been against Dignipaz, if I'm not mistaken. But coming back from a very difficult goal deficit, definitely very hard, but not impossible, as that one was nearly an opportunity, but now Bunky gonna be way too far to support the team here. Sylvie gonna have to get the save. Very dangerous catch from T-Park, but is somehow gonna work out. 20 seconds left. Dignipod is still putting on all the pressure on this Awaptic Gaming net, and this is pretty much going to be game. As Sylvie gonna try for the Psycho, isn't quite able to get it. As we count down the final 10 seconds, this is going to be the game for Dignipaz, putting them on match point in this series. And Awaptic is definitely gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure out just what they did in that game 2 that caused such an overwhelming victory for them.
And I think Dignipod's finally waking up a little bit. They just looked a bit shaky in that game number 2, but Awaptic Gaming still putting up a fight. Just not really able to get some accurate shots on the net this game, and we'll show you clips from the past 2 games, as we forgot to show those at the end of game 2. So you'll see some clips for a couple of these here, and we can look over these and see exactly what Awaptic was doing in game 2 to kind of give them that push forward, and maybe they'll be able to replicate that going into game 4. But it's looking like Dignipod a lot more composed on the back line during this game number 3, and if they can keep that up, they might be able to find a victory here going in game 4.
But yeah, there was just so many opportunities that just went by the wayside for Awaptic, and it was just so very unfortunate, as I believe we're actually watching the replays from game 2.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's game 3.
There we go. But yeah, there were quite a lot of opportunities from Awaptic, I feel, but Dignipaz was just, like, in a way, kind of putting on more quality shots, if that makes sense, and they were just getting past the Awaptic defense a lot more, even though it felt like the pressure was kind of even between the two teams. So we're definitely just going to have to see what Awaptic can do going into this 4th game, as they are now fighting to try and keep one of those top spots and not drop down to the 1-1 side. Dignipaz look to be in a fantastic position to force themselves into that coveted 2-0 spot. As we see Sylvie, you mentioned it, Fade, Sylvie might start trolling a little bit, and we see them in, I believe, I can't even remember. It is the hot shot, that's what it is. I knew it was hot something. And we see Daki in the Esper up.
So Daki in the main car and Sylvie in the troll car. Let's see what this has in store for us. Sylvie gonna put a shot across the net, and no one gonna be there for it. Definitely might start seeing some trolling here, and this is something that I was kind of worried about for Dignipaz, honestly. I do talk about it a lot, but once Dignipaz gets to that match point, Sylvie seems to go for the funny stuff a little bit, goes for the clips, and that kind of sometimes works out for the team, but a lot of the time it actually just allows the other team to come back here. And looking at a possible game 5 situation, it might not be what you want to see from Sylvie. Now, Awaptic Gaming looking for the first shot. It's off the post and out from Bunky. That could have been a really good chance for Awaptic. Now Sylvie looking for the musty reset. Daki getting a reset of their own here, but not using it. It's going to go past them. Sylvie will be there for the save, and T-Park going to be positioned a little bit too far up as this ball goes back and forth across the field. Both teams narrowly getting scored on, but no goals to come out 2 minutes in.
And I'm starting to see something from the Awaptic side. They're putting on a lot of pressure, but sometimes a little bit too much pressure, which is forcing them, like this situation right here, it's forcing them all the way back to their side, which is favoring Dignipaz so very well. You're gonna have to see Owaptik kind of laying off a bit of the pressure in terms of their supporting players, possibly putting on even more pressure on that first man. As we see Dignipaz getting a miss there. This is going to be a great opportunity for Owaptik. Sylvie trying to get there, gets bumped. Bunky gonna try for the shot, and that one is just going to be top left. And just, what can you say about that? That's a fantastic shot.
Absolutely crucial shot from Bunky, and places it top left corner. Nowhere else they could have placed that shot to get it into the back of the net without a save. That's going to be the accuracy that Owaptik Gaming needs to be able to take this forward. And Daki trying to use the Esper buff to the full advantage, as I was able to do so yesterday. Now that's going to be an awkward situation. We see a team bump coming in twice for Owaptik. That's going to allow Dignipaz to get away with one here.
Yeah, that's definitely not good on the side of Owaptik there. We saw T-Park just positioned a little bit, unfortunately. Bunky not expecting them to be there. And that's going to give Dignipaz the opening that they needed to tie this game up. With the pressure that they're putting on, there's definitely going to be more goals scored for Dignipaz. It's just a question of if Owaptik can start scoring more and just be able to fight off that pressure from Dignipaz. As Infernal to Sylvie, to try for an interesting shot there, isn't quite able to get it. Now Sylvie gonna try and get a reset, doesn't quite get it. T-Park with a massive shot downfield. Infernal is gonna be back for the save, get control of it as well, and Sylvie trying to double commit for that. We're seeing a lot of that from Dignipaz, as we have in the past. Both Infernal and Sylvie just committing on a lot of those shots together, which on one hand puts on a lot of pressure on the other side, but also if it goes bad, it will be very, very difficult for Dignipaz to come back from it. We see this, 80 seconds remaining, still 1-1. Daki gonna get a massive clear here. Nova gonna have to put this one over to the corner. A little bit of a scramble in this corner is going to allow an opening, and Daki is going to save that. And Owaptik is not going to get that winning goal. That might have been the one to force game 5. Oh no.
Gotta feel bad if you're Owaptik in that situation. Meanwhile, you've gotta make sure that Dignipaz does not get the next goal no matter what. So that's gonna be your life! And with Infernal getting that 1-goal lead with 44 seconds left, Owaptik Gaming definitely going to be panicking in this situation.
Yeah, that is just so very unfortunate for the side of Owaptik. With 45 seconds left, they're now fighting for the series here. They're definitely going to be feeling the stress. We'll have to see how they are able to deal with that, as Sylvie gonna break out from here. Infernal trying for that, isn't quite able to, but Nova gonna get the follow-up shot. Bunky keeping this one close, very well played, gets it almost over Sylvie. T-Park gonna follow this, but low boost on the side of Owaptik. This is going to spell near disaster for them, as with the last 15 seconds, T-Park gonna possibly start the final attack from Owaptik, and it is a weak flick. Infernal gonna put this one over to the side. Sylvie gonna fake this one down. Daki gonna try and pop this one up. Bunky's gonna have to go for this, but Sylvie's gonna be there first. Tries for the read, isn't quite able to. T-Park keeps it up, but not quite enough, and Dignipaz in 4 is going to take that series.
And as good as Owaptik Gaming was playing, they just can't overcome Sylvie, Infernal, and Nova. And I gotta say, you gotta feel bad with that shot almost going in for Owaptik Gaming to tie up the game. And just that last second touch from the Esper. Not gonna be the way you want to lose that series, but Owaptik looking like a really good team with this new addition of Bunky. And once again, another really good competitor put into the 1-1 position to make all these other 1-1 teams look very scared going into round number 3. And you got to remember, one of these 1-1 teams who wins is going to get to play in that 2-1 matchup against a 2-0 team to still make it to top 2. So even if they're 1-1, there's still a chance that they make it into that 2-1 round. But we'll have to see how that seeding goes later. For now, though, guys, we have one more match for you today to end off round number 2 in this Swiss stage. It's going to be Big Dragon Squad going up against Protogen Rebellion when we get back from the break, guys. So stick around, and we will return with some more RFDL Swiss stage.
To the stars, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to RFDL Swiss Stage Round 2, Day number 2. I'm Ecliptic Fades. I'm with Arilax, and Docky has come back as well. How are you guys doing?
No, I'm doing good.
That wasn't entirely convincing, but
It's not.
yeah, no, it wasn't.
Crazy.
Well, you guys had a good match against Dignipause, but unfortunately for you guys, not able to take that victory. That will leave you 1-1 going into round 3, which is going to be some spicy matchups for sure. We're going to have to wait to see what those matchups are going to be later on tonight after we've gotten all the seeding done for those matches. Now, we're going on to our final game of the day, which is going to be Big Dragon Squad versus Protogen Rebellion. And this is going to be the first time we've seen Big Dragon Squad in a little bit since mid-season, so this is going to be an interesting match.
Yeah, it definitely should be, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm very, very excited to see, like, kind of what they've been cooking up, because with that extended break, they have a massive chance to just come out swinging and just really shock everybody.
Nope. Docky's dead.
Oh.
What? No.
Nah, he's just got nothing to say. He's still thinking about that game 4. I understand. That. But either way, I am very excited to see the return of Meezer, Reverb, and Rue the Fuzzy. At the same time, though, Protogen Rebellion, as we said, kind of fan favorites around here. Everybody loves Static, Turtles, and Heavenly. Want to see them succeed. They haven't necessarily gotten the right results just yet in this Swiss stage, but they are trying their best. And this is not the team that they were probably expecting to be going up against in this lower round 1.
Oh, absolutely, it was not, and it's definitely going to be very, very difficult for them, but knowing them, they just love to have fun, and that is going to give them a massive, massive opportunity to do well in this.
Yeah, and an interesting thing too as well is we talked about this earlier in the morning, Fade, and that kind of have the ability to put that BDS team in a really awkward spot in the 0-2, a team that seemingly before the Swiss would have been thought to be one of the top 2 teams, now in kind of that dangerous position to have the ability to fall to 0-2. So I think, what is the meme that they say, Protogen Rebellion has the chance to do the funniest thing ever? I do think of all the teams to be able to push them to that, Protogen Rebellion definitely has, I think, the sauce to do that.
Yeah, I would agree there, but it's going to be a tough fight. Let's go ahead and talk about the teams as they're all getting started to get into the lobby. Let's talk about our 3rd seed coming in. It's going to be BDS, who fortunately could not play last week. Reverb, Meezer, and Rue the Fuzzy. Very, very strong team. Ever since Meezer brought on Reverb, that team has been popping off. They are 3rd in the standings for a reason. They just can't stop winning. They're a very attack heavy team. It's going to be very interesting to see what they can pull off today.
Yeah, and I'm very, very excited because we've seen a lot of great things from this BDS squad. I mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned probably a lot more times more than just last game, but these guys have been able to come back from absolutely just like I don't even know how to describe it. They came back from like defeat, like literal defeat. Like there's no way they're coming back, and then they just did it anyway.
Yeah, I forget which team was that against. Docky, do you remember?
No.
I think it was against Dig. I'm not entirely sure.
I actually am lying. I remember who it was.
Wow.
Gaming.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Toxic.
Well, thanks for
toxic
reminding
in the
me.
chat. My bad. But
Wow.
I will say, one thing that DDS does that is really impressive is just the sheer amount of pressure that they can put on any sort of team. It is very scary, especially if, we always say it, if Reverb's playing in that backfire, y'all gotta watch out. What do you think, Doc?
You asked me to go think about the backfire or BDS as a team.
Just in general.
Okay.
I mean, the backfire is also goaded, so.
The backfire is goaded. I think that, like I said, like we've talked about it time and time again, this is a team that, if you give them space, will punish you for it. They are not a team you want to allow to have offensive possession. It's different. That's easier said than done, right? But there have been some teams that have been able to shut that down. So, again, if there's anyone that knows how to do that, I feel like Static's got to be one of them.
Now let's go ahead and talk about the other team coming into this one. It is going to be Protogen Rebellion. Everyone loves them. Everyone knows them. And Static, Turtles, and Heavenly. 11th seed coming into the Swiss stage, but not to be counted out for sure, as they have taken it to Game 5 and even gotten some wins against the top teams in the league. And if these guys are playing at their peak, not a lot of teams can stop them.
Oh. I think Daki's dying. Oh no.
Oops.
You good?
Yes.
Alright.
Anyway,
well.
I mean, that being said, what do you guys think about Protogen?
Yeah, apologies for my ability to not breathe correctly.
It's alright. It
I
happens
forgot
to
how
the best of us.
I forgot how to do it. No, like I said, if there's a team that can push this BDS team, a team that is heavily offensive, it's a team that's heavily defensive. So this will be kind of interesting to see how it works out. They say defense wins championships, but in Rocket League, that's just absolutely not true. Tends to be the case that the more highly offensive, highly aggressive teams tend to succeed. But again, this is a battle of that offensive defense. So there's a chance to prove that here for BDS. I'm curious to see though. But Protogen Rebellion, though, a very, very strong rotational team. They have the ability, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've definitely got to agree. They definitely have that ability to take this game. It's just a matter of if they will be able to. But it'll definitely be a difficult one to do for them, no matter what. But I'll be honest, I think they probably have a very good chance of doing so.
I gotta say, last week they were looking really good against Black Bunny Gaming, taking them all the way to Game 5. And we saw Black Bunny playing today, and we know they're not any slouches. So to be able to take them to Game 5, there's a lot that can be said about that. But at the same time, knowing the sort of state that some of the players, i.e. Turtles, plays in during these matches, you gotta wonder if maybe they're not bringing their full effort into it. I think if they do, I think we could see a Protogen Rebellion win here. But with Turtles, you never know what you're gonna get. And I think we're really gonna have to take a look at them to see what kind of Protogen Rebellion we're going to get for this match. And as of right now, everyone is in the lobby except for the aforementioned Turtles. So, with that being said, I only have one thought on what's taking him so long, and that doesn't bode well for Protogen Rebellion in my eyes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to see, but yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting if what you think is happening is indeed happening. But we'll probably be able to tell that on the field.
Yeah, now Daki, I gotta ask, going against Reverb and Meezer and Rue the Fuzzy here, a very aggressive attacking team. We know that Protogen Rebellion is more defensive and rotational minded. Do you think that puts them at an advantage or a disadvantage against the team?
It's tough, right? I don't think there is ever an advantage against a highly aggressive offensive team. Like I said before, right? We talk about how defense is very important, but highly offensive teams is just, you know, like the old school, the old heads of Rocket League know the term peppering the net, and it's still effective to this day. You keep shooting, and things just get uncomfortable for teams, and it's difficult to deal with. However, counterattacks are very, very important. Now, I wouldn't say that Protogen's known for counterattack offense. They are known for really good defensive stances. If they want to have a chance here, I think they're going to have to start turning it up a little bit in that counterattack offense. I think that's really going to be the only chance that they have here. But again, this is a team that has the ability to do that. I don't have a doubt in my mind that they could do that.
definitely gotta agree there. They definitely have that opportunity, but I will say that I completely agree with Daki there. I feel that those counterattack plays are definitely going to be what they'll have to rely on in order to take this game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is going into it. I think if you're BDS, you're probably coming into this a little bit confident. Just knowing that your playstyle has beaten most of these teams in the league so far. Protogen Rebellion, I don't remember. I think they went to a game 5. That being said, so I think that this could still be a tough match either way. Now, I will say everybody is in the party now, so before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and ask everybody here, what are your predictions going into this final game of the day? Either one of you can go.
I'm gonna let Daki go first.
Why?
Yeah, because it's funny.
Okay, not very nice, mister. Let me say, if I had to guess, I would say, well, about of 2 EU players here, can't really give the advantage here for Ping. You know, I talked about how I feel that Protogen Rebellion really has the ability to push the issue here. I think that they absolutely can turn this in their favor. But nah, I'm gonna go BDS in 4.
Wow. That's fair. Nah, like, I know this Progen Rebellion squad is very, very good, but like we've seen BDS before. They are a very, very strong team, and they are definitely no pushover. Protogen Rebellion is just gonna be fighting tooth and nail to get even a game off of these guys, and doing that 3 times out of 5 is definitely going to be difficult. I will say that they do have a chance, but I feel that BDS has a lot more of a chance to take this, so I'm gonna also say BDS in 4.
All right. Well, you guys give some compelling arguments, that's for sure. BDS does look like the better team coming into today. Also, I heard that Turtles has been dealing with some sickness recently, which means 2 things. One, he's probably not playing at his peak because he's sick, but also, I would say if he's responsible, he's probably not drinking while he's sick, but we know it's Turtles, so that might not necessarily be the case. That being said, though, Protogen Rebellion
do not fit in the same sentence.
That being said, though, Protogen Rebellion had the chance to do the funniest thing and knock BDS down to the 0-2 round. You gotta give them some sort of credit. That would be hilarious. I'm just gonna vote for that just for the meme. I'm saying Protogen Rebellion take this in 5.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah, but that's all we have to really say about this, guys. It's about time we start this match, and it is time to get going. So, without further ado, let's start our final match of the day. It's going to be Big Dragon Squad versus Progen Rebellion, our final match in round 2. One of these teams is going to be 1-1, the other going to be finding themselves in the 0-2 category. Let's find out who it is.
And as we were saying, that 0-2 category is going to be very, very dangerous, because that means that one more series loss and you are not making it to playoffs. I don't know about you, Daki, but I'm scared for a lot of these teams as we see Meezer in a Jeep. I don't know how to process this.
Yeah, I think that is what the dinosaur. What's the dinosaur movie called? I don't know. I decided to.
It's Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. I don't know. Turtles just slots that top corner. What do you mean?
We didn't get to talk about this. We got Aesthetic in the Takumi, and Heavenly also in the Takumi. I'm a fan of the card choices here. All right, as an Esper fan myself, I love seeing some of these funner, more goofy cars come out. But as much as I like to see the fun cars, Protogen more than likes to see that goal lead happen this early on, not even 30 seconds in. They have a lead. I don't think that's what anyone expected, right? Like we talked about, BDS is known for those heavy offensive plays, and oh my goodness, this one almost just goes in there, but we talked about maybe needing to rely on counterattacks early on to take that lead. They didn't even really need to do so there. They were able to set up offensive on their own, and if you're looking at Protogen, that's a really good sign from the side of Protogen. We'll have to see if they're able to take momentum going forward, but it's going to be so tough when you're going up against a team like BDS, who surely can score at any given moment.
Already a minute gone. Protogen only getting that one goal. It's the only one that's been so far, and I jinxed it. I jinxed it.
Oh no. Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. That's all it takes. I just need to open my fat mouth and it just goes right in. But yeah, BDS just very quick to answer that. As I said, only a minute in. Very, very well played. And this is already looking dangerous as we see Turtles AFK for a second. Possibly a little bit of silliness going on, as we know Protogen are going to be very silly. But we shall see how or what even happened to Static. Gonna try for the double here. Isn't quite able to get it. Turtles with the follow-up. And Protogen Rebellion is looking like a completely different team than what we expected.
As of the plays, you want to see the speed to get that awkward. Almost might have actually had the double there, but Turtles secures it. And my goodness. Yeah, you gotta wonder. Like I said, we talked about early on the need for Protogen to have the counterattacks for them to play defense, but it seems like they heard us and they said, yeah, why don't we just have offense of our own? They've had a lot of offensive pressure early on. This is not a team that has really done that all season long. We have not seen them kind of play as aggressive and as fast as they've been playing in this game. Might be the case that BDS kind of expected them to play a little bit slower.
And I will say, I do have a little bit of insider information. Turns out, Protogen Rebellion, every single one of the members of that team is currently muted. They are not calming right now. They are just doing their thing, and it is working. As Reverb gonna put that one off the post, and that one's just gonna get slotted right in. BDS going to tie this one up. Just about half the game remaining, but Daki, what do you think about this new information here?
Well, I mean, it feels like you're on a little bit of a caster curse stretch right here, as you said that it was working, but seemingly not working there for the side of Protogen Rebellion, as Reaver was able to take that around the cost. But you know, I gotta agree. I think that, oh my goodness, I think that there's a little bit of stress that comms kind of have here. Right? We play a lot of Rocket League. You know, you play ranked, you play with friends, and you're not really calming a lot of those matches. You know, maybe a little bit, but not too much. And maybe the addition of comms adds that extra little bit of stress. So, you know, there's a chance for you to just say, hey, you know what? You know, we're just gonna play it like we're queuing for ranked, and maybe that allows you to have that little bit extra goofiness that you wouldn't have normally if you were trying to take this seriously like an RLCS match. And seemingly that's been working in their favor. It is a tie game, and they've been able to control the ball a lot more than we've seen from them. So yeah, you might be right. I wonder if there is a little bit of that as that fantastic save comes through, but I don't know if Aeralex, it looks like BDS might be ramping up the offense.
Indeed it does, as we've seen a lot less pressure from Protogen Rebellion, as Reaver just going to put in a third one for BDS. This is starting to look very, very dangerous for them, as we saw Turtles just a little bit too high, not quite able to get a powerful enough 50. That's going to allow that one to just drop right the way in. BDS just once again with an amazing comeback. Minute 30 on the clock. That one is just going to drop in once again, and this is something I've been noticing about this game, just like not really too many outplays, it's just those openings that each team is finding, and they're just dropping those shots in. It's doing them wonders.
I'm not gonna lie there, the rotations looked a little bit wonky on the side of BDS. A little bit of a double commit, and maybe a teammate looking to grab that full boost in the corner left the net completely open. I think even I could have shot on that net. Unfortunately though, for the side of BDS, it is going to lead to a goal, but fortunately for them, that is only going to be a tie. I've been playing from behind a little bit more often than I'm sure they're used to. doesn't mean that it is dire straits yet. They haven't really been in that position where they have to come back too much. They did lead that little bit of an offensive pressure. That might be an unfortunate team bump. Luckily for them, though, see Rue with not too much boost there to do a whole lot of damage. It seems like, you know, it seems like to me that BS started ramping up the offensive pressure, and Protogen Rebellion's goal is not to play defense, but to just entirely match that. Which, I mean, honestly, if you're kind of rooting for Protogen Rebellion, you kind of love to see that a little bit, I think.
Honestly, but so far, just all of this game has really felt like a lot of chaos has been going on. As we see, just like, I feel like we've seen already more double commits in this one game than we've seen literally the rest of today. But it's working so far, as that shot is nearly going to go in. A fantastic save. It's just going to get put right the way back to the BDS side. Static nearly getting the sidewall read. Turtle's going to try and drop that one down. Meezer able to clear that one away. Bit of an awkward touch. Heavenly doesn't get the boost. Reverb going to be able to steal that, and that one is going to go into overtime, but a couple seconds more, and I feel that BDS would have had that because they were mounting a terrifying comeback.
Oh my. Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, it feels like all of the games that I've been watching today gone to overtime, at least a large percentage of them. I know, Alex, your games earlier, you saw a few overtimes that you had to deal with, and I don't know, I feel like game one overtime, I feel like that's less stressful. I mean, you could tell me, I might be wrong about this, but I feel like a game one overtime feels a little bit more of additional time trying to feel your team out, to feel the opponents out, rather than, you know, maybe game 4 or game 3 overtime, where it feels a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I've definitely got to agree, because especially on those like game 4 and game 5 overtimes, sometimes you're literally fighting for the win or fighting to stay alive, and that puts on a ton of pressure. Whereas in these game 1 overtimes, you're still just kind of feeling out your opponents, and it's just one loss. Even if it's just 1 out of 3 for the opponents or for you, it's really more about getting the information that you need to do well later on in the match.
Yeah, and that kind of feels like the case here. It seems like, you know, we talked about how a lot of times when you get into those more riskier overtimes, teams start to get a little bit less aggressive and start to play a little bit safer, as it starts to be a little bit more relaxed than you'd see in other overtimes. But that has not been the case here, as I've seen a little bit more aggression, some risky plays, teams moving forward, going for those additional goals. And it's really interesting. One of the things we talked about a lot today, at least I've talked a lot this weekend actually, is that these game 1s tend to be really low scoring. Teams tend to not really overcommit too much, just tend to see exactly what the other team wants to do. But this has kind of felt like the opposite in terms of, rather than just kind of seeing what you do, everyone's just been throwing everything they can at the ball. And like you mentioned, it's caused everything to be a little bit more chaotic than I think we've seen in any other match this weekend so far. But I mean, as a viewer, this has been fantastic to see. It's a crazy pinch from Heavenly almost brings itself all the way into a dangerous position for BDS.
Yeah, but it is just absolutely fantastic to see, because each team is just fighting tooth and nail for this first win. You see that shot getting very dangerous. PR is now going to have an opportunity. That one's going to go over, and Turtles is going to slot that one home. 4 goals for him on this game. That is absolutely fantastic play from him.
Oh my goodness, and the patience there too to just absolutely wait. Knows that there's got a defender literally landing just a millisecond away from his head. Not let that get to him. Just waits for the slow pop, allows the defender to get a little bit nervous, having to see exactly where that shot's going to go, and just slots that top bins. Well, we talked about, you know, how that first game is just a loss, or it's just a win. It's one game of at least 3. It's got to feel good for Protogen to win this one, I feel.
That's definitely going to feel good for them, because I honestly feel like they are definitely coming in as the underdogs here. BDS is an absolutely fantastic team. You definitely can't count them out at any point in the match, but that was such a well-fought overtime, and my goodness, Protogen Rebellion was just looking so eager to win that, and they were able to pull it out.
Yeah, there's some crazy shots there from the side of Protogen, or from the side of BDS, that were saved. As we saw kind of earlier, that Meezer read off of the corner would have been a fantastic shot had it gone in, but was a really good save that came out of it that allowed them to take that game into overtime and allowed them to get eventually that win. So I just have to think, if you have this Trojan team with their known offense and their known rotations, if you combine that with a heavy offense, I feel like they might be one of the scarier teams. We haven't seen that really all season, but I guess they've waited up until this point to really start unlocking, and it's been a joy to watch. I don't think I've seen them play this well. They have been matching BDS's offense lock and step, which is, like we talked about this in the pre-show, I don't think any three of us, me, you, or Fade, expected that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us expected that at all. But Trojan Rebellion, as you said, just always been very, very solid overall. Just haven't quite had the pressure that was required to keep up with a lot of these teams. They've been putting it on when it matters most. As we see, once again, Static trying for another reset double. It's just going very, very well for them here. But honestly, that might have been their strat all along. Just keep people wondering, just like, you know, like, what is this team doing? Like where are they going with things? And then suddenly just unleashing it all when it matters most. Just not showing your cards until the last possible second. Trojan Rebellion definitely gave a bit of a shock to BDS for that first game. We're gonna have to see if BDS can come back from that. As Static, with the ones play, is going to flick that directly over the defender, and that is a fantastic play.
There's a little bit of cheese on the Takumi. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's an Octane hitbox, but it's slightly invisible in the front, so you get a little bit more power than you might expect if you're just looking at what the card looks like. I felt like that might have come to as a shock on the side of BDS. I mean, Static, known as someone that can absolutely get those flicks, very, very clinical with them. Not someone you want in that 1v1 situation, as someone who we know has gotten, you know, up to GC2 in ones, I believe, multiple times, which is a feat in its own. So yeah, definitely not someone you want in those 1v1 situations. But if you're Protogen, I mean, continuing to do what they've been doing last game, they have not slowed down at all, seemingly on offense. And BDS was caught off guard. They seemingly have not gotten a hold of exactly what Protogen's doing, but Protogen just continues what they're doing best, which is just pushing the ball, pushing as aggressively as possible. I feel like they might have an advantage here.
Honestly, I think they do too, because all of this pressure is working well in their favor, and they're keeping up the defense as well. That is a fantastic save, as that shot is then going to go off the bar. Static with the follow-up, and Trojan Rebellion is just shocking the world right now. This is insane to watch.
A little bit of a misplay there too. There might have been, I think that probably was a savable ball, at least off of the backboard, but we were maybe thinking that someone else had the touch, or just not having the boost to correct an initial miss jump led to a bounce out that Static was able to place in the perfect position that no one could get to. Now BDS playing up down 2. This is not something that I think they expected to come into this match having to deal with. Down 1 game and now down 2 goals here in game number 2. I mean, what can you do when Protogen is playing this well? Like you talked about, their defense has been stellar, but they're playing offensively strong, and it's not something you want to deal with. As another fantastic save rings out from Static, and it's just got to be frustrating, I think, a little bit from BDS. They've had so many good opportunities, but Protogen's defense has just been locking down their goal.
Yeah, this is just absolutely wondrous to see, honestly. Just all of the pressure that they're putting on, and then just absolutely fantastic defense. It honestly feels like this team has somehow just mastered both offense and defense almost overnight. And they are using it to full effect. As we see yet another save coming out from Static there. Minute 45 left on the clock. Another save gonna ring out. Trojan Rebellion just keeping that goal lead in their favor, is Heavenly gonna try and put that one out. Meezer gonna pass that one down to Reverb. And BDS finally going to answer back, but with a minute 30, it might have come just a little bit too late. However, I don't want to jinx this.
And I mean, you can only save the ball so many times. Unfortunately, your boost will run out. Ball bouncing a little bit too awkwardly down low. Static, not enough boost to get back to that corner, and Turtle's also on 0. I mean, It's really not necessarily what you want to see if you're rooting for this Protogen team. You do not want to give that offensive pressure back to BDS, but Turtles shutting that down completely. And it's got to feel this is probably the most I think I've seen Turtles locked in. You know, he's been accused of throwing in the past, and I think at this point he wants that title to be gone. He is absolutely taken over this series as Heavenly gets a fantastic dunk that might go all the way in. Oh no, slightly off of the post, and Static's not going to be able to get there in time. That one feels like an unfortunate giveaway. But it's not dire straits. They still do have that goal lead, and we are under a minute.
Under a minute remaining. Progen Rebellion in a fantastic spot to take this to a match point. He's heavily going to put this one off the backboard. Reverb going to be there, but Turtles covering that. What a fantastic save. Just barely off the bar there. Meezer going to keep that one away. Hitting this one up. Heavenly going to fake that out for Turtles. He's going to get that save. Try and turn it back downfield. As we saw 30 seconds remaining. Flashed up on the screen there. Meezer going to try for the ones play. Isn't quite able to get it past Static. Now Meezer popping that one up. Reverb going to follow this up, but doesn't have any boost to follow it effectively. We bring out 10, 9, 8. Static gonna try for the redirect. It's gonna be off the backboard. The Turtles keeping this in a dangerous spot for BDS. It's going to be up, and BDS is gonna have to get a 0-second goal if they want to stay in. But it's going to be down, and Protogen Rebellion is now in a possible situation where they could cause a sweep.
What a turnaround too from game one. We saw game one with one of the probably the highest scoring game we've seen in a long time. I think probably 11 goals scored between the two of them. And now with BDS being held to just one goal here in game number 2. Protogen getting only 2, but the only 2 they needed to secure that win. And like you said, we have BDS here facing triple match point. And you know, me and you know, kind of predicting this to go BDS's way. Even Fade, who predicted this to go Protogen's way, not predicting it to be this one-sided, at least on paper. And we saw a reverse sweep earlier today, Airlex. You might have remembered that. But
Maybe.
We're at the point now where that is what needs to happen if BDS wants to win this game and avoid that scary 0-2 in the Swiss. But my goodness, though, Protogen seemingly playing like a whole new team.
And that is actually a really interesting point that you brought up, because BDS is a very, very strong team, but no one could have expected them dropping down to 0-2. Like that's honestly just unheard of, but Progen Rebellion seemingly about to do the impossible. As we go into game 3 here, we might be seeing a sweep, and that is insane to be saying that seriously. Like, my goodness, Progen Rebellion is just completely just locked in. They are not letting BDS have anything.
Yeah, I do want to point out, I feel like I've seen a lack of that offensive pressure from BDS. I mean, Protogen's defense has been very good up until this point. I mean, we've seen them get some ridiculous saves, but the amount of continuous pressure that BDS is seemingly known for has kind of been non-existent. You have to wonder if you're Protogen, is there a chance that that starts to kind of, we see that BDS that we've seen so far in the season where they do have that continuous pressure. Do we see a momentum flip if they're able to do so? Now, obviously, if you're BDS, you need to start doing that this game. But of course, if you're Protogen, you really don't want to allow them to get that sort of offensive momentum. Now, I do see Reverb. Has Reverb been on the Octane this whole time? I'm not entirely certain, but if not, then that might be telling some things. As Reverb gets a nice shot to the right corner there, and well, if Reverb was not feeling very confident up until this point, I'm sure that one will help.
And I can confirm that Reverb, I believe, was in the Takumi this entire time. But finally switching back to the Octane. Still not the breakout, which, if it was a breakout, that would spell absolute disaster for Progen Rebellion. But still going to be very, very dangerous. As we see immediately Reverb getting that goal. And BDS starting to put on a lot more pressure than what we've seen previously, as Reverb going to pop that one nearly top corner. It's going to be saved away by Static. Tries to get this over one. light touch from Reverb is going to allow Heavenly to dive in here. Now Reverb putting this one back. BDS going to take possession, but immediately lose it back. And that massive clear downfield is going to favor them only slightly as Static going to put this one round 1. Reverb going to cut that one off, but Heavenly going to pop this one up for Turtles. Gets a reset. This is going to be very dangerous. Meezer going to dive in there, get a fantastic save, and keep that one from being dangerous.
And like you were saying earlier, we have been seeing that kind of return to offensive pressure from BDS. They've had some offensive pressure, but it seems like they were not able to hold it for very long, and that momentum swung completely the other way as it's been all Protogen Rebellion since then. Of course, as I said, that we are back in the Protogen Rebellion half. It feels like the first time in a little bit. That pinch is not favorable for the side of BDS. We'll have to see it. They do play it very well. Reverb takes this one slow, has the boost to get on 1, but cannot fully control the ball around Heavenly, which will lead to a 0 boost Rue there. And Reverb also on low boost, gets the boost stolen from Turtles. This is a dangerous situation for BDS, but Meezer playing that so well, not allowing that to go too much further. Gets the dunk as well. It's a touch forward. Reverb will have control here. Might be able to do something here, but not able to get a touch around Turtles. Of course, though, if you're BDS, you don't necessarily need the extra goal. Of course, a cushion might feel nice for them if they want to try to push this into that reverse sweep. But if you're Protogen, pushing that issue and trying to end this one here and now might be the play here. You do not want to give this BDS team any more momentum, and that's definitely a good way to stop it. But Pixel, the Fuzzy there, has been so good consistently on defense, making sure that a lot of these Protogen Rebellion offensive pressures have been stopped. A lot of these dangerous situations, it's got to feel good for BDS. They haven't played necessarily up to their standards, I think, offensively, but they still are not playing bad by any means.
They are not, but it just suddenly isn't really working out for them as Meezer going to get a touch up. That's going to be awkward. While they get a save, it's still very awkward here. Meezer going to get the save. Reverb with the double commit, but is able to recover well. Heavenly with a massive shot. Meezer has to jump up and save the one on 0 boost. Turtles diving in. Reverb has to get there quick. Now suddenly BDS having a massive shot. And that is absolutely wild from BDS.
What a shot. I don't know if that was intentional, but my goodness. The pass up to Rue the Fuzzy, who's already in the air. It might have not been intentional, but either way, that was glorious. If you're looking for BDS to win this series, that's the start that you kind of want. You know, it's kind of interesting. I feel like things have been flip-flop here. I think that, you know, we talked about how counterattacks were kind of the way for Protogen to win, but it seems like now the opposite is true. And counterattacks are kind of what BDS needs. Now, that's not something you really expected early on. You were predicting this matchup, but the counterattacks have been working very well for the side of BDS, so I'm curious to see if they continue to do that moving forward, rather than their, you know, what we know them for in that continuous offensive pressure, since that hasn't been working out for them so well, but these counterattacks kind of been their bread and butter in this game number 3.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, you might be wondering, because we know Protogen Rebellion to be the team who's always up to shenanigans. I'm starting to wonder if they're possibly in collusion with BDS. Maybe they've just completely switched accounts. But either way, Protogen Rebellion is definitely just looking down the barrel right now. It's 30 seconds remaining. They're still on offense, but not quite getting the pressure that they need, as we have a Rule 1 between, I believe that's Static and Rue the Fuzzy. And that's definitely going to be in favor of BDS as we count down the final 10 seconds here. Meezer going to put this one downfield. Tries for the double, isn't quite able to get there. Reverb with a massive fake. Turtle's able to recover, but it's going to be far too late. And BDS might be starting to reverse sweep here.
Well, survive the sweep at the very least, and you said that's the start of the reverse sweep. Is that one? It might. No, it does hit the ground, unfortunately, but yeah, like you said, though, this is the start of the reverse sweep if you're rooting for it, and that's the way to do it. That's an absolute shutout. It's the first time in the series that Protogen Rebellion has been unable to score. That might feel a little bit defeating for the side of Protogen Rebellion. Although I say that, and of course, if there's any team that's not going to be defeated by that, it is going to be Protogen Rebellion. There's a 90% chance that they do not care, which I feel like has to be true. Like in a normal circumstance, being shut out after you've kind of dominated in the offensive might tend to make you feel a little bit more nervous, but like I said, I don't think Protogen Rebellion is really thinking too much about that. They might just be thinking, okay, we'll get back, just play again like they played in the first 2 games, and that's really all they really need to do there. They want to have a chance to close this one out, but you do not want to give BDS that momentum. If they go into game 5 here, or if they go into game, if they are able to win this one handedly and go into game 5 with momentum, that is going to mean that Protogen is on the back foot. Now, if it is closer, it might be a little bit easier for them to regain that momentum, but momentum is a crazy thing in Rocket League, and all it really takes is 1 or 2 games to really push the thing from being a one-sided matchup to being completely on the other side.
Yeah, and that's going to be something that Protogen Rebellion might be thinking about a little bit as we do head into this game number 4. They're just going to have to try and just keep their cool here, because we know this team very well as being one that's just able to deal with that pressure very well. We're going to have to see how they're able to deal with it here. As game number 4 starts up, BDS looking to start this reverse sweep up as Turtles, I believe, switching car onto the Fennec. Heavenly and Static still on those Takumis as we get a beat on Reverb from Static. Weezer gonna have to take this one almost over. Heavenly gonna cover that, and that one's gonna be off the defender. No one was expecting that, but Protogen Rebellion, with only 20 seconds in, is going to score that one.
Do we call that an own goal? I don't know if I would, but it's close to one. Is that one? Is that one just absolutely rockets off of the back of Reverb? That would have been a ridiculous redirect had that gone the other direction. Yeah, it is interesting. I thought that maybe there was a chance that Meezer would have swapped back to the Fennec, because they've looked a little bit more awkward on that Jeep. The hitbox of the Jeep probably, I have to imagine it's close to playing on the Scarab, just with how boxy it is. But I mean, clearly the confidence is there for BDS. They don't feel the need to change cars too much. They can continue with a little bit of the goofier shenanigans, as we had mentioned before. But Protogen, though, absolutely shutting down. That's got to feel good for them getting that early goal, too. They were not able to score all of last game, and getting an early goal here and the lead probably gives them a little bit more confidence. They definitely want to shut this one down. You do not want to give BDS that momentum going into game number 5 if it does happen. But for now, Protogen Rebellion with a surprising lead here in game number 4.
Lead is definitely going to favor them. BDS starting to put on the pressure that we know them for. As I say that, Reverb is just gonna own goal that. Okay, I need to just stop talking. I need to stop talking.
What is happening? What?
That's an insane angle, though. Like you gotta admit, that's an insane angle.
Oh my goodness. I don't have words.
I don't either. So just who's gonna cast?
I mean, is that technically the second own goal? Okay, the first one was kind of iffy. That one was 100% an own goal.
That one's definitely, yeah.
I don't know if it's the goofy vibes that we're having here. Like, we talked about this before. Reverb has a tendency to troll a little bit when up against Static. I don't think he's known to troll this heavily, but that might be illegal. Oh my goodness. That was almost a ridiculous shot from Meezer. Just unfortunately right off the crossbar, and well, BDS now has to start from square zero here. We have 3 minutes left. There's a ton of time. They've had a lot of good looks here, and if you're BDS, maybe you're thinking, okay, we've given up 2 goals, but we kind of gave them to them. I mean, we scored them on our own net, we can score them on their net, so there's a chance here. I think BDS definitely has one. Oh my.
My goodness, there's so many opportunities from BDS coming out here. But again, that defense from Protogen Rebellion just not letting up.
Oh my goodness.
That one's just barely going to stay away from the front of the net. Turtle's going to finally get a breakaway. That was an open net, but it's going to be off the bar. And Ruth Fuzzy going to just take this one slow. Lose control a little bit. That's going to allow Turtles to dive in here. Reverb going to pop this one up. A demo on Meezer is going to put on a lot of pressure. Heavenly going to pop this one up. It's going to be awkward. Turtles and Static both going for that. It's finally going to be off to the side. Finally safe for Protogen Rebellion. Only for a second is Reverb going to try and dive in, make a play here. Meezer, a light touch. Turtle is able to turn this one around. It's going to be over 1. Reverb keeping that one in the corner there. Heavenly going to try and put this one into the center. A bit of a team bump. That's going to allow Static to dive in. Turtles is going to be up for this. Tries for the shot. It's going to be too low. BDS is able to survive that onslaught, but with only 90 seconds remaining, it's starting to look very, very dangerous for them.
And it's got to be a little bit frustrating for BDS here. The 2 goals he's given up were kind of gimmies. Well, one of them definitely was one. And that, you haven't been able to really get much offense. They've had so many opportunities. Some of the goals being absolutely crazy shots that were saved by even crazier saves. It seems like Protogen has taken those gift goals and has just said, okay, we're going to lock down on defense, do what we do best, and not allow them to score. And that has been the case as BDS has have to fight and struggle for even an opportunity. And when they get them, they're just saved away immediately, as that one might have been an opportunity, but the ball gets knocked completely out of Reverb's hands, not able to utilize that flip reset. Might be a dangerous one, but a really good fit from Turtles. There's a bump there, but all of the Protogen is just in net waiting for the ball to come anywhere close to them. As this another dunk comes through, and with 40 seconds left, Arrow, there's a lot of work that BDS has to make up for if they want to have a chance in the series.
And I don't think they're going to be able to do this because we've seen just so much control from Progen Rebellion, just even in front of their net, as that one once again nearly gets caster cursed. But I've seen just so much just patience in front of their own net. They're not really jumping too hard for anything. They're just keeping control, keeping that calm, and it's working so well as Heavenly takes, I believe, 3 50s in a row and is still able to win it out. Mies are going to drop that one down, and Progen Rebellion shocking the world, winning that one in 4 over BDS.
A series, and I mean, you have to feel, I think, a little bit bad for BDS. They're in that game number 4. They had so many opportunities. Some of the shots would have been insane, just barely hitting the crossbar and out. And we're not able to connect. The shooting accuracy just barely off. I feel like if they had that a little bit more dialed in, they would have had that one. But wow, Protogen Rebellion, I think, playing better than anyone had ever thought. If you have to think, if they play this well going forward, they have a really good chance to make this into a push into playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely do have a chance to go to playoffs here, but my goodness, what a play from them. That was fantastic to see. I believe we have a Fade joining us.
You guys want me to say something? I'm sorry, I'm still in shock over
I was
Protogen Rebellion.
I mean, I'm still out of words from the second own goal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my god, that was just, my goodness.
I definitely think that we saw a little bit of trolling at first. Obviously, when Reverb switched back to their normal car, they looked a lot more comfortable on the field. They were able to put in some really good offensive pressure. I think that it was very much lacking from BDS in those first couple of games, and Progen Rebellion took very good advantage of that, and they were able to take the first 2 games pretty handily. And I mean, momentum is such a hard thing to deal with, and when you have Progen Rebellion just getting all of that momentum and immediately in game 3, or game 4, I'm sorry, with Heavenly getting that touch off of Reverb's car into the back of the net, you kind of just had a feeling that was just one of those games that no matter what BDS did, it just wasn't going to go their way. And Protogen Rebellion pushes BDS down to the 0-2 category. BDS now going to have to play for their league lives next week in round number 3. Meanwhile, Protogen Rebellion bouncing back up to the 1-1 category. Congratulations to them. But that is going to be it for all of the games we have today. We're going to be trying to get seeding done as soon as possible so we can let these teams know who they're going to be playing in that round number 3. Remember, guys, that there are going to be 2 teams that went 2-0 or 0-2 that will be playing against a 1-2 or a 2-1 team going up into next week. Those games will happen on Sunday. Meanwhile, on Saturday, we're going to have all of our 1-1 matches so we can determine which teams are going to be put in those spots. Meanwhile, the 2-0 matches, the 0-2 matches, all of those extra ones, those are going to be happening next Sunday. So those games, if you do not know your game going forward, you will not be allowed to pre-record. You're going to have to play on that Sunday, unfortunately. And that's just going to be based off of game differential and seeding and where everybody lands. But with that being said, next week we get some teams moving into playoffs, and we are going to have some teams eliminated from the league. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend, and only 2 more weekends left to Swiss. We're going to be doing rounds 4 and 5 all in one weekend. So only 3 weekends remaining in the entirety of this league. Guys, it's ramping up, and these teams are looking better than ever. I hope you guys are ready for some exciting matches coming up soon.
Woo!
Woo.
Woo!
Woo.
Woo!
Well, the woos are coming out, and you know what that means. It means these guys have said all they want to say for the day. And so have I. So thank you guys for watching. That's going to be it for RFDL this weekend. Be sure to tune in next Saturday for the start of Swiss Round 3. And of course, watch the Discord for the teams playing, so we can get you guys your announcement on who's going to be playing who in this pivotal Round 3. It's been a great day of Rocket League. It's been an amazing time. Can't wait to do it again. But for now, guys, that's going to be it from the desk. We will see you next week for the start of round number 3. Peace out, everybody.
Woo.